We're back. We're here. Hey everybody, welcome on in to the Central Committee. Oh yeah, I was trying to clean the camera today. So there you go. I think that is better. I think it's better. Beach anime, is this a hentai stream now? Is it beach or is it bleach? Did I say beach? Oh no. Oh no. See, I don't know. Oh no. I don't know what that means. Let's go ahead and just do a little bit of edit there. A little bit of an edit there. I thought I may have typoed there. Pepe La. Let me go ahead and edit that. Yeah, go ahead and edit that. I'm glad I didn't tweet that. Bleach anime, right? Bleach anime. Oops. Oops. How's everybody doing today? How's it going? Pretty good. It's pretty good. We had a good start to the stream already. I can see that. I can feel that. Andor just came out. I'll be watching, like, the first 3 seasons just came, or 3 seasons. First 3 episodes just came out. So we'll be watching that. That sounds pretty fun. Not on stream, but I will be watching that. DSA win here. That's pretty base. Portland City Councilor threatens PSU project funding over response to pro-Palestinian library takeover. So good. Exactly. Push back against these fucking scum. And then chat. Oh, today the stonk roller coaster continued as I predicted yesterday. Would you look at that? As I predicted yesterday, I told you exactly what would happen. Is that the cope would set in, that everybody would be like, yay, 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 but the damage is still being done, and we really don't know if Trump is just going to change his mind one day. So it's like, this is exactly what I said, but the recession is still going to happen. Like, they're not going to save the recession. Mike, thanks for the encouragement to work on the translation project. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope it be useful at somebody at some point. Yeah, I mean, if nobody else likes it, who gives a shit? You did it for yourself. He still says 50 to 65%, which is catastrophic. I mean, like, it's baby shit.
Up in the mountains of New Hampshire, they laid the foundation for Pax Americana.
Oh my. Pax Americana, where we're invading or intervening in countries every 6 months. Acts of peace. That means peace, chat. So today we have a big update. It's a big update because why? Donald Trump is, on hopes that Donald Trump is surrendering on his signature policy. Like, it's literally that. And the other thing is, it's like, even if Trump caves, why? If Trump caves this easily, why does it try to get even better deal? Why does it try to exploit us and extort us even more? I mean, like, we already fired the first shot. Why not do more? Now, maybe that's overplaying your hand. That's why I'm always a hardliner, right? I'm a hardliner. If I were in the Chinese Central Committee, I would be like, we should not agree to lift tariffs until they lift all restrictions on semiconductor technology. We should not agree to lift exports on rare earth metals until they agree to lift all sanctions against Americans and Europeans who work in the semiconductor industry that come to China. Like, I would be, we don't lift the tariffs until they lift their tariffs on solar panels and EVs. Like, why should they give in? If America is this scared this easily, why the fuck would you give in? They should slap us in the face, because that's exactly the only way we're going to learn. Like, if a bully tries to bully you and it doesn't work, but they get no consequences from it, it's called a free roll, which means they're going to do it again. A free roll is when you get a free bet, and if you lose, it costs you nothing, but if you win, you gain a jackpot. So in life, you should take as many free rolls as you're given an opportunity to do, because the more times you spin, if there's a 1 in 1,000 chance of something happening for you, and you're allowed to spin as many times as you want, that's a guarantee you're going to win. It may take a while, but as long as you keep getting free shots, eventually one of those is going to hit. Over a long enough timeline, over a long enough try, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to hit that thing. So if you're getting free rolls, you take them. So as far as America's concerned, if they're allowed to just bitch slap China and then go back to the status quo with no consequences, then they just got to keep doing it. Yeah, Tesla had a huge stock buyback. They had a quarterly profit bloodbath, but as I predicted, and as many people who are wise predicted, there was going to be a bounce here, because the imagined negativity is always going to be less than the worst case scenario in your mind. But let me tell you, it was pretty much close to the worst case scenario. And of course, Tesla's rising with the rest of the markets, right? You know, another big day for Tesla. Also, Elon Musk is he's saying he's going to quit. Basically, Elon Musk is saying, I'm stepping back from Doge. So here it is, April, and he got bitch slapped by the left. Everyone stops buying left Teslas. I mean, how dumb is this motherfucker? Legitimately, how soy fucking... He's the ultimate soy conservative. He's the definitional soy conservative. Once you have Asmongold plus Elon, that is the entire Republican Party. That really is. I mean, it is. It is. And they're both soy as fuck. I mean, like, this is the average conservative.
There's honestly no person in the world right now that I would want to fudge up more than Hassan. Come see me in San Jose, California. Want to see what the streets be like. I would hurt every leftist in this room. Oh, no.
This guy has those little cheeks. You know, whenever he goes over to his mom's house or his auntie's house, they're grabbing him by those little chipmunk cheeks and go, "Oh, aren't you cute?" And bending down and go, "Oh, you little cute little guy." This is what's so awesome about the internet. That's just so awesome about the internet. By the way, I'm committing this guy's face to memory. If I ever see this guy, I'll go say hi. A new phone per second. Guys, I think this is bullshit. I find fully automated anything to be total bullshit. All that happens whenever somebody says something is fully automated is that the human labor they see is they just become blind to. They don't count it. It's like, yeah, it's like saying the Borg cube has no employees, right? Like, yeah, it does. Okay, well, I mean, that looks cool. Maybe that's got really high productivity. I'd be interested. I unfortunately don't speak any Chinese languages, so that's just gibberish as far as I'm concerned. They have maintenance workers. Okay, so they have production workers. What else are we talking about today? Oh God, I mean, Ethan Klein is and this is something that, excuse me, doing the Ethan Klein. This is something that like a lot of conservatives are like, which is they are the blue-haired SJWs. Like, they exist on the left. Usually they're people that are trying to get attention for themselves, and they're trying and they're doing interpersonal aggression, right? Where it's like, you don't want to be considered a racist, do you? Well, you better listen to me right now then. Like, that's that kind of shit where people do this annoying. The woke of the day is oftentimes a play for attention, right? And they're trying to threaten you with social opprobrium, or else, like, you better give me attention and status right now, or else I'll make everyone hate you. And, you know, I personally don't think you should give in to that blackmail, like, ever. I think if the woke of the day comes around and goes like, I can't believe you're being a MAGAist of some sort, there, you should just kind of laugh at them. You should always laugh at them. That being said, I also think that if someone in good faith comes to you as a friend and says, hey, I think what you did here was fucked up. I think it, you know, was misogynistic, was racist, was blah, blah, blah. You should always be like, thank you. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, you know, can you tell me more about what you thought and why you think that? And, you know, whether you think I should apologize. Like, if somebody does that to you, like behind the scenes, privately, you know, that's one thing. I think you should always listen to that. But if it's somebody in a chat going, you're such a racist, or somebody rushing on Twitter to post, fuck those guys. Like, fuck them. Fuck them. They don't deserve your attention. Oh yeah, this is great. The Hassan villain arc. We're gonna get into that. Don't worry, we'll have fun with that. That's why I said I was the #1 beach anime fan, which is, it's supposed to be Bleach anime. I honestly know so little about anime. I don't know what is what. I literally don't know what the fuck Bleach even is. It doesn't even sound like something, like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, why are you named after a cleaning chemical? Like, I don't get it. It's also like, it's such a bad name that I don't care to look. I'm just a boomer. I'm like such a boomer. I just don't care. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Okay, I'm gonna say something that you anime people are not gonna like. I don't like child protagonists. I don't want to watch a show with a child protagonist. Like I just don't want to. I mean, I'll give some I'm not saying this is a hard and fast rule that I'll never ever break, but as a rule, I don't like to watch art with child protagonists. I just find it to be inherently unsatisfying. And I gotta be honest, when you hit the age of 40 years old, and I hope this is true for you, maybe it's just true for me, I don't want to see coming of age shit. I'm tired of it. I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm good. Like, yeah, you're a teenager who's about to become an adult. Like, I get it. I understand. I'm not, again, not a hard and fast rule, but I think it's the most overproduced segment of art, and I'm so tired of it. As I want to express my disapproval. I want to see adults, at least like 25. You know what I mean? Like, come on, can we do that? Can we try that? One Punch Man is not a child. I have seen I've seen a lot of One Punch Man, actually. I think I saw the first season. As an adult, I feel adult problems are more complex and interesting. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, whenever I see a child actor or a child character that's starting to become prominent, I let out a sigh. I'm just like, because, you know what I mean? It's just like, And so when I turn on an anime and it's like, I'm 15 and I'm 17. Oh, and high school is just so tight. It's like, okay. It's like, okay. It's like, I'm 10 and my brother is 8. It's like, I'm like, come on. Come on. Have you seen A Man Called Otto? It's kind of Libby, but the aspect of community members coming together to care for each other got me in the field. That sounds good. And the thing is, it's like, again, this is not a hard and fast rule. It's just why I haven't watched it is because, like, when I'm looking at all the grand corpus of human art and I'm like scrolling through it, and then it's like 10-year-old protagonist, teenager, you know, in high school, you know, this person, you know, I'm like, show me some art. An adult with an experience having a relation. Oh, okay, good. There you go. Wow, I'm into that. Thank you. I'll do that instead. And it's same thing with live action. If a live action show has a child as a fucking like main protagonist, you know, I'm just like, I'm missing that probably. Mike, what are your thoughts on a recession depression happening this year? Technically, a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth in a row. So that would basically require the next 2 quarters or the quarters after that to be negative. And I would say that I think it's somewhere in the range of like 80%. Ghost of the Shell will be up your alley. Okay, now you're talking. People have given me good like totally random, but have you seen Severance? Yes. My take is that a overshadowed concept in diversement is revolution, a deep social change. Like the last 20 years, there's not been a real piece of art that really represented it. I couldn't agree more. That's why I hope Andor is good for season 2, because I like season 1. Andor was like, actually, I worry that with Andor, what's going to happen is they're going to get Star Wars syndrome, where everything then has to become the most important thing ever. You can't just have vignettes. You just can't have stories of the revolution that are important, but nonetheless not like galaxy fucking wide shit. It always has to be like, this is the most important operation. If we don't succeed, the entire rebellion dies kind of shit. And it's like, does everything have to be like that? I like Andor though, like quite a bit. Gundam Wing is the Gundam that's all blowback in NATO, and it's very camp and gay. Highly recommend. Okay, I will check that out. That sounds good. Anyway, again, I don't hate anime. I really don't. I just hate the American culture of anime, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not a fan of that for some reason. I wish I was. I really do. I think it would help me, but my autism is not the anime autism, unfortunately. I just don't have the anime autism, you know? All right, what were we saying? My autism is like trade unionist autism, train autism. I really recommend Common Side Effects. Yeah, we watched it in Community. Have you ever played tabletop RPGs? Once in a while. Did you score like a 0 on the autism test? Like a 40. But then Vio took it again for me and claimed that I scored like a 116. I think the problem with autism tests is when I was in high school, I hyperfixated on test writing. Like, how do people make tests? And so, like, whenever I take a test, I instantly get put in, like, my mind goes to the position of somebody writing the test and, like, what kind of answers and questions, like, how would they do distractors? How do they put, like, you know, what would they do to, like, write the plausibly bad answer so that you could get it wrong, right? And so I'm always like, you know, I'm eliminating wrong answers right off the bat, and I'm just, you know, I'm kind of going like, I want to have a good result on the test. What's a good result on the autism test? A low score. So then my mind is like, okay, what is some things that are considered to be autistic traits? And then it's like, just answer the opposite of all of those, and you'll get a low score. And it's like, bam, okay, easy peasy. That's like, now I got a 30 because I know what they're looking for. So it's like, why would I self-report? As a researcher, please don't do that, man. Just follow instructions. Why? I have radical freedom. And life is about achieving your goals and being happy. Why should I let somebody else put me into some fucking stigmatic box? If I can mask, if I could trick your test sucks. Why are you taking the test in that case? Oh, because it was a socially pressured thing. Everybody was taking it for comedy reasons. And then I thought it would be funny to use my powers of autism to make sure that I had the best score. I didn't cheat. That's the thing. I had integrity. I didn't like cheat and like go and look and see. And like, you know, I took the test, you know, high stakes. I could have failed in my quest to get a low score. My dad worked for a company that made standardized testing for most of my life. It was wild watching him melt down while the local news was shitting on MCATs. He was in the team developing. Yeah. Test creating is hard, bro. That's cheating if you're not answering honestly. Oh, that's the other thing. I didn't lie. I just used rationalizations. Taking the autism test for a comedic value. That's what people were doing. Wait, you didn't get that? They were literally doing that. They were taking the autism test competitively, and they were doing it for entertainment value. You know, a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of consciousness raising, or a little bit of like, you know, destigmatizing autism, but it was for comedic value. People that got the higher score were razzed by the rest. Sounds ableist. All right. This is like, here's usually how it goes here. If you get like, if you're the most annoying chatter for 2 days in a row, then you have to take the rest of the day off. You were already the most annoying chatter yesterday, and you're already far in the lead at 8 a.m. So you're just gonna get 8 hours off. Don't be the most annoying chatter 3 days in a row. Okay? Don't be the most annoying chatter 3 days in a row. I don't make the test, I just score them, and right now I'm dealing with 9th grade and these kids are cooked. It's bad all the way down. I think that we are actually fucked in a real, like, if I'm being honest, I think this is my most boomer take incoming. I think that the dopamine squares we all carry are actually really bad for children. In fact, I think they actually are so bad for children that they probably shouldn't be allowed to have them at all. And maybe adults shouldn't be able to have them either. That's a like, I could believe that. Did I say triangle? Dopamine rectangle. Sorry. Like the dopamine squares. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we shouldn't be allowed to have them. Even though you're all on it watching me and I profit from it, I'm pretty sure they're, you know, I'm like an oasis in the desert. It doesn't, just because there's an oasis doesn't mean the desert is good, you know? All right, where were we?
Yeah.
Where the fuck were we?
For more in markets right now, we're joined by Savita Subramanian. She is the head of U.S. equity and quantitative strategy at BofA Securities. And Savita, this morning it seems like there's relief that the Trump administration seems to be ratcheting down, not just on what we're talking about with Jay Powell and allowing the chairman of the Fed to say, okay, he's going to independent.
Sadly, as a 19-year-old, I completely agree. My brain has been fucked up in ways I can't even say. I can. Here's the thing that here's the thing about the way the internet has developed over the last 10 years, and I don't know that it's fixable, because everybody gets a little bit of social anxiety. Every time you get up and you go out and you meet people in person, everyone gets everyone gets a tinge of something, right? That's why you like take a shower and you pick a good outfit and you brush your hair and teeth, and like because you have this certain, there's like a social expectation. There's a little bit of like, you know, hey, I'm going out, meeting people in person. You want to present, you want to put a good foot, your best face forward, right? You know, there's a little bit of like something that holds you back, right? There's a little bit of social risk, right? And we all kind of intuit that. So going out takes a little bit of energy. It takes a little bit of effort. And the thing about the dopamine squares is that they give you a lot of validation, social validation, without any risk. It's like the social equivalent of a anonymous comment section, right? Like you get those, like you trained yourself to get dopamine from those likes and those replies and those interactions and those positive comments. And it serves kind of a similar function to being, at least in the immediate moment, as being in a fun hangout with people in real life. And I feel like it's actually rotting everyone's brain, because when you go into social situations, you also get socially corrected, right? You get people kind of like, you modulate yourself, you calm down a little bit, you don't let your emotions run as wild. You know, other people will like say something if you're kind of going off the rails, or if you're really depressed, they'll lift you up and they'll soothe you. So there's like all these guardrails on your emotional range. There's all these like subtle social and emotional, you know, soothings and corrections that are constantly happening when you're in social situations. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. So there were, you know, I went out last night with a bunch of friends, and we went to a restaurant after a movie. We went to saw a movie. I went to a restaurant after. And one of my friends, the restaurant was relatively, you know, empty because it's a Tuesday and it was like 9 o'clock. So, you know, there wasn't a ton of people in the restaurant, right? And one of my friends was just speaking super loud, like absolutely loud. And one of my other friends said to him, "Why are you screaming?" Right? And I kind of chuckled to myself, because that's exactly why going out and hanging out with your friends is so useful. It wasn't like he was trying to humiliate the guy. He was just like, "Hey man, step it down a notch." And the other friend was like, "Oh, sorry about that." And, you know, he lowered his voice and he made all the other people in the restaurant more comfortable, right? Because he wasn't yelling and interrupting their dinner. And the other friend kind of reined him in a little bit, and he did it from a position of like love. It wasn't like malicious, it wasn't mean, but it was blunt and necessary, if I do say so myself. And that is like a very value neutral way of describing exactly what I'm talking about, right? Which is, the more we're on these stupid squares, the more we like stretch out, and then we become a distorted version of ourselves, because human beings need to be in those social situations. We are social animals, and these dopamine squares do not fulfill the needs that we actually have. They give you this cheap shot of dopamine, that's give you this cheap simulacra of a social environment, but they don't actually give it to you. And I say this as a king of the dopamine square, as somebody who's won the internet. Objectively, I'm one of the few people on the internet who gets more from the internet than the internet gets from me. You understand that? Like, there's very few people on the internet who get more from the internet than the internet gets from them. Most of you, the internet is milking you dry. Okay? For me, it's filling up my bucket, you know? But for most people, it's the other way around. And so it's ironic that I would criticize it, but I really do think it's hurting you guys, because I get so much from the internet, and this is not a flex. This is just me describing things neutrally and objectively. I'm not trying to be like, "Oh, I'm so great." It's not that. I'm not great. Because I get so much from the internet, I actually turn off the dopamine shit. I don't know when someone likes my posts. I don't know when someone retweets my posts. Like I literally do not get those notifications, because if I did, I would have so many that my phone would just be constantly going off. So I just have it off. And because I have it off, I'm not addicted to it. You know what I mean? Like, because I have it all off, because I would get so many, I just have it off. And so I think it's like helping my brain heal a little bit. And so I'm just saying, except for me, when I post, you should have the notifications on. For me, you should turn on the bell, right? For me, you should go to the stream, because this stream is constructive community building. But in all other senses, I feel like having likes turned on for Twitter, you should not do that. So don't like your posts. Please do like my posts. Actually, liking my posts are important, because it gives me more engagement in the algorithm. I'm just saying that for me personally, and that's the same thing of like all the big creators, you know, we all have it turned off, because that's the only way to survive as a human being. Your brain would be, if I had to like look at every single human being who had a thought about me in the course of a day, that would melt my brain. That would legitimately melt my brain. If I had to reckon with every single person who had a thought about me, positive or negative or neutral, over the course of a given day, I would be fucked up. I have you on so I don't feel utterly alone in my post-COVID home office, and that's what it's for. And you should do that. You should do that. The only reason I'm having this rant is because I also want us to get out in the real world. I want us to get out into the real world and start doing shit. One of the things that I've been pondering a lot is, how do we take these virtual communities and turn them into real community? Like, I've been looking at, you know, some of the way that communist parties and socialist parties operated in the turn of the 20th century all the way through the 30s and 40s. And they were not just political organs, they were social organs as well. You know, they had childcare services, and they had apartment buildings, and they had rowing clubs, and it was just, people lived their life as a socialist or a communist party member. They had bowling leagues or whatever the fuck. I feel like we need to do that. We need to create a social milieu. And this is the strength of the conservatives. And the reason why I bring this up is because somebody sent me this TikTok from a conservative, ex-conservative, and she was talking about, she was like, liberals keep asking me, why don't conservatives see what we see? Now, I'm being very, very broad tent here. This is Mike being broad tent, because we're not talking about liberals for a second. We're talking about MAGA supporters. We're talking about Trump supporters. How does that operate? How does someone become a Republican? How are they still a Trump supporter? Because he's fucking everything up and being a piece of shit. How do they not see it? And the reason why that is because the right wing, they've figured that out a long time ago, which is, people don't see themselves as right wingers because of fucking tax cuts for the rich. It's because of a social and political milieu. For some reason, leftist activists are actually opposed to that. It's considered bad to expect the social aspect in organizations. I completely disagree. And I think it's a CIA psyop, to be honest. I think it's a CIA psyop. I completely disagree with people that are like, no, this is only for work. Oh, are you a loser who needs friends? Well, this is only for work. It's like,
keep seeing on my post and on a lot of other people's posts that people commenting, why don't the Trump supporters understand or see what we see? As an ex-conservative, I think I can kind of help y'all with that. Understand, if you'd like. First of all, you got to understand this is not about politics. This is about...
My favorite thing about liberals is they adore... Most American... Like, every American loves an accent. I'm going off on a tangent real quick. But every American loves an accent, right? Especially like a British accent or an Australian accent. But liberals really like a Southern accent. They really like like in the political sphere online, if you have a Southern drawl, but you say liberals are right, instant virality. Instant virality. If you're like, hell yeah, I couldn't tell you how much that guy's the orange Cheeto. #1 to the charts. Because liberals want to have tokens. Liberals love tokenizing people. It's their favorite thing to do. They love to collect them all. This is Mike from PA speaking about some real shit, about to get canceled. But let's be honest, white liberals like to collect them all. You know, in the scene in American Psycho where they're like comparing business cards, and the similar scene for white liberals would be like, here's a picture of me with my black friend. Oh, here's a picture of me with my Asian friend. Oh, here's a picture of me with my Mexican friend. Oh yeah, well, here's a picture of me with my black friend. And all the other white liberals are like picking up the picture, and they're like, they're at a hip hop conference. Oh my god. Like that is exactly how white liberals are. Okay, like, and so they also want to have a white ex-conservative Southern drawl haver tell them they're right. The main thing that liberals want is validation, 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 because liberalism is at its core vacuous. Yeah, they look what I just got from my black friend. Then they slip the cookout invite flyer across the table. That's the ultimate white liberal move. We hate crackers here, don't we, folks? We hate the crackers. But so when I see videos like this, the Southern person always playing up their Southern drawl, which is why I got off on this. I'm just like, I don't like Southerners. I do like Southerners, but I don't like corporate Southernism. You know what I mean? Like, I like Southerners, but I don't like I got my beer, I got my truck, and I ain't gay, and God bless America corporate country. Like, I hate the corporate country culture, the way they hijacked. And by the way, oh my God, I'm having so many good banger takes. Here's another banger take. The way that country music and hip hop have been hijacked to corporate America and away from what they started, like with Tupac and like the way it was like a radical music, fuck the police, all that, you know, the way that has actually been morphed to flex culture, drill, like the way that the music has been pulled in this like corporate friendly direction and away from any political commentary. Same thing with country, with people like Johnny Cash or Dolly Parton, and just being pulled toward this like, I got my truck, I got my beer, I got my gun, I got my truck, nuts. Willie is another great example. It's like very similar the way that those subcultures and those genres of art representing community were changed to these fucking like disgusting fucking I keep saying vacuous, but this rotten bullshit. This is like another boomer take from Mike from PA. You're welcome.
What they're taught. It's about their upbringing. And from a very young age,
You are literally about to describe why I don't like vibing in front of liberals anymore. I call them traumators, vibing off stories they can't hope to understand. I think for me, like my curse is that I don't know how to be anything but honest. This is my biggest flaw. Like, I am too blunt. I'm too much of an open book, and that lets people maneuver against me, which is a problem for me. Like, because I don't like to lie to people. I don't like to be fake. It's not because I'm a good person. It's because it just feels bad for me. I'm not trying to say that I'm doing it from good motivations. I'm just doing it because I don't like to be that way. If I have a problem with someone, I want them to like address it, and I want to talk to them about it, and I want to be honest about it, instead of being a fucking snake. It just feels contemptuous to me. It's a feeling, and then my mind proves it to be a good feeling. Like, my mind thinks, no, you're being honest, you're being true, you're being fair, you're being not fake, and those are good things. But it all starts from a feeling, right? And my feelings are, I don't like to lie to people, I don't like to fake, I don't like to be a fake. So, you know, that puts me at a disadvantage, because most people are very comfortable concealing how they really feel, and it's a problem for me.
Taught that the leftists, that the Democrats.
It would be funny to see Mike interact with those people who stop talking to you when they get mad. I mean, they're just not. The problem with me, you know, and I hate to make this sound narcissistic, but there's no other way to just be narcissistic. You're a fucking streamer, and maybe you guys have the same experiences, but like, what drives me insane is when people cannot explain why they do what they do. Like if when somebody does something and it causes like a bad consequence, that doesn't bother me. If I could talk to a person, be like, okay, this happened. Like, why did you do it like that? Like, what happened? And if they can be like, well, I did it because this, and this. If they can like come up with at least some plausible like logic for why they did what they did, and then it went and why it failed, you know, like, oh, I didn't anticipate this, and that resulted in this. Or I was distracted by this, and then, you know, I was thoughtless on here. Like, as long as they can like explain a functioning human like reason or explanation or even excuse, that helps. But so many people just cannot do that, and that drives me up the fucking wall. That'll make me go fucking insane, which is why I'm not a great manager. I am not a great manager because if somebody like makes mistakes and then they come to me and they can't explain anything as to why they did the thing that caused harm, I just get that pisses me off like crazy. You know, like that drives me up the fucking wall, and I could like drill down on someone because of that. And I'm like, okay, you did this and you don't have any good reason. What were you thinking about? Like, you know, that's why I'm not a great manager, because I get angry at that. No, dude, that's literally what a good manager is. Oh, I guess I never had a good manager then. Want to see another market? No unilateral offer from Trump to cut China tariffs. Oh no. It was up 1,000, but now it's dropping like a rock. Do you see what I mean? Chat, I told you exactly what. Did anybody clip what I said yesterday? When I was like, this is my prediction, clip it. I don't think anybody clipped it. Why would they? Because I make clipping hard to do. But anyway, let's watch this thing and then we'll get into conservatives.
Okay? We were taught that the world is against us, and we were taught that questioning authority is a complete sin. We were also taught that leaders like Trump were sent by God. This is indoctrination. That's what indoctrination is. And you have to understand, it's every day. It's from the pulpit 3 times a week. It's from every day in your home, your mother, your father, whoever you're with that's this way, telling you over and over and reminding you over and over again. If you miss God's plan, your life is shot. If you miss his plan for your life, oh well, I don't know what's going to happen then. They make you feel when you doubt them or you doubt the beliefs, you're betraying them, and that God would not be happy with you. It is so hard to break free. The only reason I did is because the truth became too overwhelming to deny. And also, I'm not going to lie, it's because my mother died. I became free when she passed. So it isn't just a matter of looking at the TV.
Oh, did I turn off clips? Let me go and see if clips are they turned off right now, chat? Sometimes I forget if they're turned off or on. Sometimes I turn them off and then forget to turn them on again. No, they're on. They're on. You just have to be a follower for a month. I could lower that. I'm gonna lower that to a week and make it subscriber only. Okay, that should work now. The mic is gracious. Well, the thing is, like, when you're me, you guys are watching my stream to watch a stream. The people that are trying to clip political creators are 9 times out of 10 trying to create some sort of drama out of context, right? This isn't a gaming stream where I'm like, you know, you're taking clips of my cracked sniping or whatever, where, you know, it is people going like, here's Mike, and he was really worked up after talking about something for a half hour. You know what I mean? So you got to at least be a subscriber to clip me.
Saying, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that to people. That's not how it is. See, when you're taught every single day, every waking minute is a lesson on how to die to yourself and live for God. And when your pastor tells you that Trump was elected, Trump was sent by God, you believe him. So when we see MAGA acting like this, when we see Trump supporters that will not admit when they're wrong, this is why. They're indoctrinated. It is not easy to break out of, but it is possible, and it is necessary. I know it because I lived it.
Okay, well, here's the thing that I want to say. Like, when she talks about breaking out, how did she break out? She says her mother died. That is a major social and information change. She didn't change because somebody came out there and persuaded her with an argument. She changed because the fire hose of bullshit was cut off. The social pressure was cut off. And she was actually given space to think on her own and breathe and maybe look at other things. And that's what made her pull away. It's because what was keeping her conservative was cut off. And this is why the number one, if you feel your parents are going to the right and they never had been before, the number one thing you should do is block Fox News on their cable box with parental controls. Block right-wing media with parental controls on their fucking cable box. If they're liberals and they don't watch Fox News, go block it secretly and never tell them. The other problem is local news, which a lot of people think is like neutral and just like, you know, oh, this is just telling me what happened in my community, but it's actually owned by a mega conglomerate that's hyper conservative, just like Fox News. And it's one of the things that I called on Joe Biden to break up. Sinclair Media is what it's called. And I was like, Biden, you should break up Sinclair Media, you dumb fuck. But again, Biden doesn't do anything. Again, liberals and liberal conservatives, the conservative Democrats, they love corporate consolidation. They love Fox News. They love Sinclair Media. And, because that keeps the country pushing to the right. What do I do if my parents, what was the question? What do I do if my parents are expats in Switzerland and VPN Philly News and think America's going to hell? This is what you send to your parents. Philadelphia saw remarkable decrease in violent crime in 2024, DA says. And then what's the video they recommend? Deadly shooting at playground. Amazing. The actual information is that crime is crashing. But also, I mean, all the shootings we have are insane. Like, don't you guys think it's a bit batshit crazy that, any dipshit could go buy a deadly weapon? Like, isn't that kind of nuts? That there's no, like, sanity check at all? There's no, like, how are you doing, man? Did your wife just leave you? Like, are you feeling a certain type of way? Are you okay? Are you on your meds? No, it's just like, all right, here you go. You didn't just murder someone, so here's a gun. Lex posted it. Oh, okay, hold on. My fundamental, okay, this is my fundamental take, chat. This is the Mike from PA analysis. Prepared a clip. This is exactly what's going to happen. I'm handling the lathe of heaven. Are you ready? Donald Trump doesn't know what the fuck's going on any issue. He generally likes tariffs because he's an old Fox News grandpa racist, okay? And he heard tariffs 30 fucking years ago and is fixated on it. He is going to cave. And the stock market is going to be so exultingly happy when he caves, it'll spike at, thousands of points. The problem is the damage has already been done. The economy is going to go in recession. The news is going to get worse and worse. There's going to be inflation because a bunch of orders were canceled. So there's going to be a shortage of goods. It's going to be disruptive. The economy is going to contract, and there you go. Does Mike actually read Le Guin? I read The Dispossessed a really long time ago. I need to honestly read all of her books. That's actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna read Ursula Le Guin. I'm gonna read all her shit. Mike, if you agree to interview Jake, you need to signal boost the socialist candidate and shit on New Jersey at the same time. Truly a special opportunity. True. If you don't know who Ursula Le Guin is, chat, she is a very famous science fiction author, widely reputed to be one of the best of all time. A lot of really cool left-wing art. Most science fiction in the modern era is at least partially influenced by it. But I've got so many to read. I'm like so far behind. I've only read like one of her things. She's cool.
And it took...
Relevant Ursula speech? Okay, hold on. We'll watch this.
Until today, until tonight, I'd only ever spoken to Ursula Le Guin once. And it was, or actually more to the point, Ursula had only ever spoken to me once. It was about 21 years ago at a fantasy convention in the Midwest. And I got into an elevator, and then Ursula got into an elevator. And she looked up at me and she said, "Are there any room parties tonight that you know of?" And I said, "I don't really know." And she said, "Oh, well." And that was our conversation, which is very odd because Ursula Le Guin had been talking to me.
Is this a guy who did some sort of like sex pest shit? Well, she wasn't friends with the sex pest. I don't know if he's guilty or not. Neil sucks. And he wasn't her friend.
Years to break me out of it. Years to break me
Dick
out.
Durbin's not running for re-election? Oh.
And I hate that about this journey, but I'm just so thankful that I did break out of it. Let me tell you about the racism. We were taught that the black population came from Ham, who is Noah's son, one of Noah's sons, and that when Noah got drunk in his tent, y'all can read this in the account of Genesis of the flood, his sons went in and things ensued, okay? We were taught that the black population came from a curse put on to Ham by God for these acts. Now see, and it is still taught in churches. That is not true. That is a complete fallacy. So see, it made...
By the way, she's right. They are taught this. They were literally taught this. She's not saying she believes it. She's saying that they were taught this. And she's right. They were taught this. This is one of the foundational beliefs of Southern Baptism. Southern Baptism was literally created to justify the exploitation of black people and white supremacy. Like, the Southern Baptist religion is the religion of white supremacy. Like, they call it the curse of Ham, the mark of Cain. It's all, they use biblical shit to justify racial exclusion and domination. She's right.
Racism seem more righteous. Get that? But it's a complete lie. But it made it seem more righteous. And it shapes how you see the world. Oh, it's so wrong. Also,
Catholicism doesn't have this. Catholicism is not racist doctrinally. Now, it did a lot of racist shit, but it wasn't racist doctrinally. And a lot of Catholic powers did colonialism and imperialism. They did it in different ways. They did it in slightly different ways, which is why like the English tradition of like racial caste was a lot stronger than it was in you know, Catholic countries and as they were colonized and exploited. There was more of intermixing. And Catholics had a tradition of evangelism that's a little bit different than the tradition that the Northern European Protestants had. It was different. And there was large debates and there were fights about racial systems. And the Catholic Church roughly came down on the side that everybody has a soul. Whereas a lot of the Northern European Protestants would basically just say that they were not human. This is really simplifying a very in-depth theological debate. There was a lot of historical fights in the colonizer countries over these ideas. De la Casas is a very famous case of this, which is somebody which is highly flawed individual, to say the least. But he was a person who argued in favor of indigenous people's rights in a kind of general sense, or at least their humanity. Like, according to Wikipedia, he said he spent 50 years of his life actively fighting slavery and colonial abuse of indigenous peoples. There's this very famous debate where one side said that indigenous people were not human, and the other side said they were. Spain's colonialization and conquest of the Americas inspired an intellectual debate, especially regarding the compulsory Christianization of the Indians. Bartolome de las Casas, a Dominican friar from the School of Salamanca and member of the growing Christian humanist movement, worked for years to oppose forced conversions and to expose treatment of an indigenous people. His efforts influenced the papal bull Sublimis Deos. This was later overruled by the Spanish, but it basically says that you should not enslave people. My pronunciation, I'm trying. I'm trying. In Sublimis Deos, Paul III declares that indigenous peoples of the Americas to be truly men, and that they are not only capable of understanding the Catholic faith, but according to our information, they desire exceedingly to receive it, and denounces any idea to the contrary as directly inspired by the enemy of the human race. He goes on to condemn their reduction to slavery in the strongest terms, declaring it null and void, and for any people known as well as any that could be discovered in the future, entitles their right to liberty and property, and concludes with a call for the evangelization. So basically, in the ecclesiastical letter Pastoral Officium, issued a few days before the encyclical, imposed excommunication on conquerors who enslaved the indigenous people. This punishment was later repealed after a petition by the Emperor of Spain. So this is like a more complicated history than most people understand. But the kind of evangelical, or the Protestant English tradition is one of unalloyed slavery, repression, dispossession, extermination.
Was also taught that gay people were absolutely disgusting. That if you were homosexual, you were completely against God and you would not be going to heaven. They pounded that in our heads over and over again. And I just think back to all the precious gay people and the gay guys at our school that had to be so afraid. And we've all heard, hate the sin, not the sinner. Love the sinner, not the sin. But see, that's really just fear and judgment in disguise. That mindset leads to real harm, children unaliving themselves, and growing up with a life full of just self-loathing. And when you are raised in a mindset that your way is the only way and any other way is unrighteous and rebellious, you were taught that your questioning was rebelling. So that's why people are doubling down now, even though they feel it. They feel it, trust me, y'all. They know it and they feel it. They believe that they are not just defending Trump. They really believe.
Catholic doctrine popularly upheld blood purity laws until the 1960s. I'm not sure what you're trying to make. Oh, no, you're definitely right about that. The point I'm trying to make is that in America in particular, we push this idea of almost a separation of races that was biblically mandated. And the thing that I would always say is, as a materialist, as a dialectical materialist, as a Marxist, I understand that religion is part of the superstructure which rests on the base. Let me see if I can let's see if this image is okay. So in the ideological superstructure, do you see how there is like the means of production, economic relations, owners, and then art, religion, culture, education, politics, law? That is all structured on maintaining the economic base, right? And so the religion we had in the southern United States justified slavery because the economics of the South required that justification. And that's why Southern baptism exists. Southern baptism exists. It's literally a proof of the utility of the predictions of Marxism, of dialectical materialism, which is like you can look at the economic situation of the American South and it being plantation slave power and going, well, the religions are going to say that's justified. And that's exactly what they did. The curse of Ham was a biblical justification for imposing slavery and racial discrimination toward black people, although this concept has been criticized for being an ideologically driven misconception. For Southern slave owners who were faced with the abolitionist movement to end slavery, the curse of Ham was one of many grounds upon which Christian planters could formulate the ideological defense of slavery. Even before slavery, in order to promote economic motivations within Europe associated with colonialism, the curse of Ham was used to shift the common Aristotelian belief that phenotypic differentiation among humans was the result of climatic difference, to a racialist perspective, that phenotypic differentiation among the species was due to there being different racial types. This was often came as a result of European anxieties to avoid being sent to the colonies, as they were terrified of the high casualty rate due to settlers due to disease and warfare. Catholic mystic Annie Catherine Emmerich said, I see that black, idolatrous, stupid nations are the descendants of Ham. Oh, no. Leading intellectuals in the South. Here's another example. And this is something I talk about from time to time, but it's always good to touch on, in case people don't know. The Southern Baptist religion. In 1945, the Southern Baptists separated from the Triennial Convention to support slavery, which they considered an institution of heaven. And then, like, that's literally why. Like, they were founded, the Southern Baptist religion was founded to proliferate slavery and defend slavery and racial supremacy. That's literally the only reason it exists as a religion. In 1844, University of Alabama President Basil Manley Sr., a prominent preacher and major planter who enslaved 40 people, drafted the Alabama Resolutions and presented them to the Triennial Convention. They included the demand that enslavers be eligible for denominational offices to which the Southern associations contributed financially. They were not adopted. Georgia Baptist decided to test the claim neutrality by recommending an enslaver to the Home Mission Society as a missionary. The Home Mission Society's board refused to appoint him, noting that missionaries were not allowed to take servants with them. So he could clearly not enslave people, and that they would not make a decision that appeared to endorse slavery. The difference came to a head in 1845 when representatives of northern states refused to appoint missionaries whose families enslaved people. To continue of the work of the missions, the Southern Baptists separated and created the Southern Baptist Convention. And that's literally the only reason. During the Civil Rights Movement, many Southern Baptist pastors and members of their congregations rejected racial integration and accepted white supremacy. Like, that's literally, and that continues to this day. This is the religion of the people that are most thoroughly in favor of Donald Trump's mass deportations and the far right political movement in this country. I mean, it's the same exact people and their descendants.
Believe that defending this entire system, this entire administration of hate, number one, isn't rebellion, and number two, it's going to get them into heaven and keep them out of hell. That's not what it's about at all. If y'all ever have any questions, if you want me to try to answer them for you,
that's exactly the reality. That's why, like, for conservatives, it's not about the arguments, right? For a conservative, yesterday tariffs were the smartest ass move that we ever made to make our country independent and strong and bring back manufacturing jobs. And the next day when Donald Trump says, maybe we should do the tariffs. Well, that's Donald Trump. He was just doing the art of the deal. He was doing art of the deal. You people don't know how to negotiate. It doesn't matter what is being said. It is an orientation toward authority. And the fact that they're indoctrinated to follow authority. They don't trust their ability to think on their own at all. That's what they've been taught. They've been taught from when they were barely weaned that to think on your own is Satan whispers. That's temptation. Oh, your pretty little head. How dare you think ahead? Are you thinking about you want a job? Well, how about making me some cookies? You're letting Satan in. So, you know, if you want to change conservatism, you have to change the social and political milieu. And that's why, you know, real revolutions do involve some iconoclasm, you know, being iconoclasts, destroying some olds, as they say, you know, destroying the sources of the poison. I mean, let's just be honest. They also learn the Bible differently. Southern Baptism focuses on memorizing lines of the Bible, not so much as stories those lines come from. That's why they throw around things like John 3:16. John 3:16 is just what I consider to be probably one of the worst written lines in the Gospels. It's actually shocking how dumb it is and how I would consider it like the Wikipedia entry. It's not even bars. Why are you linking me disaster girl?
Right.
This was after you got back from Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly. When you get deployed, they tell you to write a letter. I still have it in a drawer somewhere.
This Pogue fuck. Like, this is the thing that's so crazy. You know, he's sitting behind the wire, just Sorry for my Ethan Kleining there into the microphone. I apologize. He's sitting behind the wire looking at resource maps. This man is probably one of the most pathetic fucking losers I've ever met in my... I of all the politicians in America, I think I despise Pete the most. I really hate this fuck.
Somewhere. It just says just in case on the outside.
Wow.
And it's everything from that you want your loved ones to know, from your internet passwords to like how you feel your life went. So I got deployed while I was in office, and I just took a leave, stopped being mayor, started being lieutenant, and went into my other job, basically. I was a sitting mayor of my hometown. I had a beautiful house. I had good friends. I had like a good life. And that was part of what I wrote about in that letter. But in the...
I'm a mayor who's... I mean... there's nothing to say. Like I'm like, how old is Pete? I think Pete is a couple years older than me. Okay, yeah, he's 3 years older than me. All right, I was basically at high school the same time this fucker was at high school. Okay, he was a fucking freak. He is a freak. Everybody, people who were gay were coming out left and right. This guy is a fucking freak. He is a weirdo. He's a fucking weirdo.
The back of my head, I'm thinking, all right, but I'm a grown-ass man, and I don't actually know what it's like to be in love. And if I get back, I'm not going to let that continue. Like, whatever the implications, I'd rather deal with that than once again contemplate the idea that I could go to my grave not knowing what it's like to be in love. Right around the time I came out, right?
I'm sorry, guys. Call me mean. Call me whatever you want to call me. This is insane. This is batshit. Dude was a mayor. You know why he claims he came out? Because the other officers in the military were like, bro, just come out. Nobody cares. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this guy is such a fucking weirdo. He was so deep in the closet. Conservative officers in the military were telling him, like, what? Just come out. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what? It's just like, he's just a weirdo, dude. He's a robot. I don't know. Like, if you like this guy, you and I are not going to get along. It's just, he's a fucking weirdo. And it's not because he's gay or anything like that. When my sister, when she came out, she was in high school 10 something years before him. I'm thinking of my little sister having 10,000 times the bravery that he does. And the way that he would like run for political office, and then when it's safe, after all the marches and the riots and the suppressions and the blacklists and the targeting and the humiliation and the deaths from the AIDS crisis, when all the battles have already been fought, and it's time to collect your I'm not just a white man, I'm actually a gay white man. Then when it's safe, he comes out to try to claim it. That's crazy. And he wants to be president? Like, that's crazy, man. I can't stand Pete either. He's gross, but judging someone's coming out as right-wing ass shit. Okay, here's what I want you to understand. I am a radical. You're a liberal. I don't care how long you've been watching me. You're a fucking liberal. I don't want to be led by people that hide behind others when the fight is happening and then come out to claim diversity points. I want a radical leader. If you don't agree with me, if you don't like it, leave, unsubscribe, and never come back. I literally don't want you here. I'm talking to you. This is not me. I'm not kidding. If you are the type of person who likes Pete Buttigieg, fucking leave and stay gone. I can't handle you here. I don't want you here. You're a burden. Like, that's how bad I hate him. And I hate everybody who defends the guy. It's pathetic. I don't want this in a leader. I'm not judging people's decisions on when they come out. His parents were atheistic communists. You understand that, right? It's not like he was raised in a conservative family that were like, oh, we're going to judge you for being gay. He was raised by a fucking communist professor. Like, he was hiding it to conform with social shit. He was hiding not because of some sort of like, social necessity, but because he is a freak. I mean, like, god damn, dude. Have you considered the point that he's gay and therefore should be president? I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ. It's like fucking insane. Was Pete Buttigieg's father a Marxist who spoke fondly of the Communist Manifesto? True. In early 2020, we received multiple inquiries from readers about the accuracy of a 10-month article which purported to highlight the left-wing ideology of Joseph Buttigieg, a prominent academic who had late father of Democratic presidential primary contender Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg's father was a Marxist professor who lauded the Communist Manifesto. Does it seem weird now? Does it seem weird? Like, does Pete seem a little bit weird to you? Like, are you getting, he's a fucking disgrace. He went to serve in the Afghan, Empire War so he could get, I'm a veteran points. Like, he's a fucking freak. I mean, I don't know. I know it doesn't make me look particularly good, but I don't give a shit. It's like, if you don't understand this guy is our enemy and a freak, and yes, people should be shamed for continuing the culture of closeting that so many people suffered in. I was there. I know what it was like for my sister when she came out as a teenager 10 years before he did, and all the like negative shit consequences that she had to go through while he's hiding and he lives with a Marxist professor. My parents were conservative at that point, and she helped change them with her bravery. She helped change their opinions and change who they are, because she said, no, this is who I am. This is what I believe. And that was a turning point for so many people. W my sister. And so, like, to be someone who hides behind people like my sister, a regular person who did the brave thing, and then go like, well, and that's why I'm diverse. Like, he wanted to be nothing. He wanted to be considered a white man. He wanted to float along as a white man with all the privilege that benefits him. And the moment he could then make a play for getting diversity points and check a box for white upscale liberals, suddenly he was coming out when it's safe. That is a sign of absolute depravity and calculation that is not human. That's not human. It's not that he's gay. It's not that I'm judging his coming out story. But the son of a Marxist radical conforming to Indiana conservatives so he can run for political office is, I mean, like, that's weird shit, man. Like, it's weird shit. And if you don't think that's weird, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. It's like, what are you talking about, man? How is that okay? How is that someone you want to lead? Chatter's Pete's story makes no sense. His story reeks of calculation, extremely weird. Everything he does is pure calculation and triangulation. Yeah, he's not a human being like you or me. He's a robot. I'm not even going to talk more about it. I just really dislike Pete Buttigieg. I think of Pete Buttigieg as like an existential threat to humanity. We can't have a sociopath like that in office. We can't, like, he's more sociopathic than Trump. Like, he's actually a fucking freak. He also went to Harvard, right? He was a Rhodes Scholar. He went to Harvard. So it's not, I'm not saying Pete is not incredibly intelligent, but he used to be a fan of Bernie Sanders, chat. His father was a Marxist professor. He wrote an essay in high school about how much he loved Bernie Sanders. And then he went and he turned himself into a machine politician freak of the empire. So this guy is evil. He's knowingly evil. Like, it's not like he doesn't know the right answer. It's not like he doesn't know what harms the US is doing. It's not, he just wants to be the one who benefits.
You've had direct experience of many of the things that make a lot of young people very angry about the way...
Why did you give me the worst fucking clip of all time with annoying background music? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're molding me right now. He's actually a fucking demon. Yeah, I see that, Comrade Winston. I'm done talking about Pete. It's a lose-lose for me. It's literally a lose-lose for me because people like Pete Buttigieg because of some dumb bullshit, and I go unhinged. Like, he literally makes me unhinged. I hate Pete Buttigieg, and he's a scumbag. And then everybody does this like lib bullshit where they're like, I can't believe a white man is... You don't know what my fucking sexuality is. You don't know anything about me, really. You don't know anything about my history. You don't know about what my connections are. It's like whatever, because I don't share that with you, and I don't need to share that with you. Fuck you, is what my answer to that is. I'd be like, oh, I can't believe Mike cares about Gaza as a white man. It's like, yeah, I should care. Everyone should care. I think people are sensitive for judging someone for coming out. I'm not judging him for coming out. For the love of God. Can you guys see the arguments instead of shapes and fucking colors? The perfect example right here of why I fuck with you the least out of all the lefty streamers. Like, you agree with most of all you say most of the time, but this right here makes you sound jealous. Pete had a W strat. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Let's listen. A W strat to navigate life. What W strat? He was the mayor of the 4th largest city in Indiana. What was his W? What's his W? He's on TV. I guess that makes him a W because he sold out to every. He's an evil sellout. Like, what is his W strat? What's the W? I think the reason why you fuck with me the least out of all the lefty streamers is I'm the most ideologically left wing and the least grifter. Incredible. Not to say that other streamers are grifters. It's just like I just say what's actually left wing all the time, always.
Biden had a mental acuity. He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
There's a ton of Zoomers that say selling out is a virtue. That's getting the bag. Guess what, bitch? I got the bag and I didn't have to sell out. That's the thing that makes people the most funny. That's the funniest part. I didn't have to sell out and I got the bag. That's a real W strat. I got to live the way I wanted to live my entire life and get the bag. That's called the ultimate W.
Dear.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I think the chatter means by fuck with you the least is that he tries disrupting here the least. No, I think he means in the sense of he doesn't like me. Like he likes other lefty streamers more than me because they you know, tolerate selling out more, or I don't really even know what his point is. It's not really a point. It's like, I'm jealous of Pete. Why the fuck would I be jealous of Pete Buttigieg? One of the worst transportation secretaries in history, failed presidential candidate, failed candidate for Indiana. Like what? He sold out everything he ever believed in order to get like MSNBC crumbs. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, yes, the Democratic centrists are going to push Pete Buttigieg to be their candidate, along with Cory Booker. Wow. Oh my God. And you know what? They're going to put billions of dollars of donor money behind them. Like, wow. Oh my God. W. Pete. He's selling out to multinational corporations and the rich. W. Pete.
Alright, B, we got that scrap on you. What up, y'all?
Alright, I'm a fault with you.
Alright, bro.
It's like all the people, like back in 2019 and 2020, I used to make fun of people for liking Elizabeth Warren. And people would get mad and they'd be like, she's the second best candidate, Mike. Why are you getting mad at Elizabeth Warren? And I said, well, because you have to pick one candidate. You have to pick one candidate. There's going to be one nominee. So every single time, every progressive you add takes votes away from the progressive wing and divides it and splits it. I want to see 18 centrist candidates and one progressive candidate. Because that's how you game them. That's how you win. One time with JT of Second Thought, socialism with American characteristics.
Yeah, I remember the Nebula situation, kind of. What was that?
That was rough.
It seemed like someone was basically a certain streamer or a couple were trying to basically have you removed for your Israel stance.
Yeah, it was the usual.
Did you leave like in anticipation that they might boot you, or like how that kind of, or they wanted you? They wanted you to make some kind of PR statement or whatever.
Yeah, that was the latter. So it was the usual crowd. But yeah, so after October 7th, I came out very strongly on the side of Palestine and opposed to the Israeli genocide, which is the most blatant genocide in modern history. I don't think there's any argument to be made there, really. But of course, when you're working with a public-facing company and your name is attached to them, they're like, well, we need to mitigate our message here a little bit. We need to make sure we're not seen as taking a strong stance on this. I'm like, I'm me. Like, you guys are your company. But they were really wanting me to make like kind of a both sides statement. And so I was like, I don't want to do that. But if it'll make you feel better, let me talk to the PR person and we'll see what she has to say. So I talked to the PR person and we went back and forth on some wording of like a tweet.
I don't know, Nebula. Room 12. Hey, man. What's going on, brother? What's going on, brother?
For like, I don't know, a few days, a week, something like that. I'm like, man, this sucks. I'm not going to do this. At one point, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Thanks for your time. I'm not going to say this stuff. And so I had another call with the CEO and he was like, well, if, you know, and he beat around the bush. Like he was going to kick me to the curb, but he wanted me to like, you know, like, oh, you can't fire me. I quit kind of thing. So, but we talked our way to it and I'm like, you know what? Yeah. If you want this to be the end, you know, it's disappointing. I was the 6th person to join Nebula. I was there at the beginning when it was just standard.
Yeah, that was like known as bread tube fucking central. Like there used to be a whole meme that, in order to get sponsored by Nebula, you'd have to say the word systemic.
Which is funny because, it turns out they're a bunch of liberals.
Yeah, that's what they are. It's like leftism boils down to basically like, the post-colonial analysis of Harry Potter.
Yeah, yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's some lovely people still with Nebula. Like there's some people that I respect that are there because of financial reasons. Obviously, it's a tremendous resource, like Getty Images and stuff like that, like the stock footage stuff, the thumbnail services, all these things. That's great. Hard to leave, especially when you're doing lefty stuff that's hard to get sponsors for on your own, or at least vaguely lefty. There's some names that I won't mention for privacy.
God, can I say I love the deprogram? I need to do more stuff with the deprogram guys. I really respect them. Nebula is the Justice Democrats of streaming services? Nah, it is the Elizabeth Warren of streaming services. That's what it is. And it's always been that. Like, there's a reason why, like, Vosh and Destiny and those people targeted me the most, because they understand that I could sniff them out. Like, it wasn't because, like, I was bad or anything. It's just that I knew who they really are. Like, I could, and like anybody, like being on a bus with Vosh, everyone could sniff him out because he stinks, right? And he's not a left winger, and he's here to teach you. He's just there to get attention, and he's a liberal. He's putting on the aesthetics of radicalism, but other than his position on age of consent, he's not really radical on anything. And like, it is what it is. Like, if you were one of those people who were like originally brought into the kind of like broad space of left-wing content creators, I don't blame you. You're not a political activist, and you're not a scholar. You're not somebody who studied this shit and lived it and then came to it like I did. I didn't come from the internet. Did not make me a left winger. I'll say that again. The internet did not make me a left winger. I became a left winger from my life experiences and activist groups that I was involved with, and my own research and my own journey. Like, I didn't become a leftist because I watched Hassan, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that as your path. Everybody has a different path, right? But like, it is funny when people who became left-wing by watching the internet videos try to criticize me from a position of, I don't like the same people they like on the internet. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a very funny thing to experience from my end.
I said I had not seen decline, and I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. The thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Who is this guy, by the way? Does anybody know who this guy is? He may be a liberal, but my God, he put her feet to the fire. Oh no. Oh no. Oh God. Oh no. Oh God. Okay, he's got Ilhan Omar, but he's got this is your average Democrat. This is your average Democrat. This is it. 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 This is your average Democrat. Have Noam Chomsky, Pedro, Ilhan Omar next to Beto O'Rourke. Gotta collect them all. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I fucking mean? This is your average. This is the average Democrat. And I mean that as a compliment, but also an insult. I mean that as a compliment and also as an insult, which is like, this is incoherent. This is an incoherent politic. This is politics as aesthetic. This is the lib Pokemon collection. It doesn't make any sense. Is this Malcolm Gladwell? Malcolm Gladwell and Noam Chomsky in the same thing. Like, this is like, I know this is like New York Times. This is New York Times core, except for New York Times wouldn't have Noam Chomsky or Ilhan on here. But like, Matthew McConaughey is practically a Republican. Fran Lebowitz is like ultra Zionist. It's a collection of pictures, American Psycho. Yeah, like I am like, wait, This guy has 2,000 fucking followers and he's talking to these people? Like, what? Fucking industry plants, dude. There's been an extra effort among CIA industry plants lately to like crowd out the space of actual left winger. Like I think there's like a new effort, like the Johnny Harris effort. I think this guy is the compatible left, as they call it in the CIA. There's like an extra strong effort to kind of like crowd out the AOC types. In 2016, he created Talk Easy. The New York Times, the AV Club called the show undeniably special. The New York Times called Talk Easy offers a luxuriating interview brimming with nostalgia. Tom Hanks, Gloria Steinem, Margaret Atwood, Kate Blanchett, and Questlove. 400 episodes. What was the first episode? Don Cheadle? Don Cheadle. Okay, as a filmmaker. Okay. He recently collaborated with folk duo. Okay, so is he make movies? In his past life, he worked as a film critic and journalist. Okay, so his parents are rich. Who's his dad? Who's his mom? Absolute industry plan, absolute trust fund baby. Who's the dad or the mom? Fragoso Plumbing. Is this his real name? Is this like a fake name? Yes, I know. I was looking for anybody else named this. And there's like nobody else with that name. I just typed the last name to see how many people had that last name. And nothing came up. What's his mom's name? They just call her mom. What's his mom's name? What's his dad's name? Why is this guy sitting down with senators and Hollywood stars in 2016? Who the fuck is this guy? He's also pushing the abundance shit. Of course! You don't get hired as a film critic for paid money. That's not just a job that you get. You don't go and work for Vanity Fair as a film critic. That's not a job a normal human being can get as your first job. That is not possible, okay? I want you to understand this. If you are a normal human being and you get hired for Vanity Fair as a film critic as a 20-something, that's not real. That's not real. That's a job that goes to the son of the publisher of Vanity Fair. That's not a job that you get. It doesn't matter if you had a 1600 on the SATs. It doesn't matter if you valedictorian at Harvard. Like, you would need to be so thoroughly, you would have to be the smartest person in the world to get that job at 22. Like, you would have to be like, no, I don't want to get my full ride scholarship as a Rhodes Scholar. I want to be Vanity Fair film critic. Like, there's no way to get that. Okay, there's no way to just get that job. You understand? He is somebody's son. And that's all there is to it. This is the most obvious industry plant who's ever industry planted. This is the most you're getting 8 fucking likes on your tweets, and you're doing a biographical fucking podcast. This is the most trust fund bitch baby thing I've ever seen in my life. How is this fucking guy so connected? What is happening? He has a music video, and 1 movie. Okay. So he didn't meet his people through directing shit. What did he write? I started writing film reviews in 2009. Years later, I founded Movie Mezzanine, a film-focused website that gave a platform to many wonderful writers around the world. In that period, before and during college, as a child, did like Roger Ebert decide, okay, native of Chicago, Sam lives and works in San Francisco as a journalist and student at San Francisco State. I am just dumbfounded. I'm literally dumbfounded. Is this his actual dad? Are you sure? I don't think this is his dad. Oh, wait, it might be. He holds an MBA from the University of Chicago. It might be because he's from Chicago. Lotus is a car company. Okay. We're going to figure this out at some point, chat. I'm sorry for going down this rabbit hole. I'm just like, huh?
Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take...
Chat, how many views does this have? Can we look at how many views the episodes have? Like, are we able to see that data? How do I see that data here? I mean, he just gets absolute Ezra Klein's call for abundance in America. It's hard for me to understand this show, legitimately to understand this show and how it exists without knowing more. I'm not going to listen to his podcast with his dad on stream. Sorry for going down this rabbit hole. 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 subscribers. And he just started publishing again. And all of a sudden it got mega pushed. His Elizabeth Warren thing got mega pushed. And the next video has just dropped as we were talking about him. His Facebook page of his media company has 2,000 followers. How the fuck are you getting all these people 5 years ago? 900 views for Tom Hanks? This legitimately, I don't know what to say other than, oh, what? Yo, what? Dude, if I farted, I'd get more viewers than that. Oh yeah, Intel just fired 20,000 people. Let's talk about that. I don't say that to be mean. I don't say that to be mean or anything. It's just that guy's an industry plant nepo baby with a trust fund. I don't see any actual income ever being generated, and you're interviewing Tom Hanks. There's no income. I'm sorry. And the fact that you wrote for Roger Ebert 10 years ago on his website is not money that you can live on to do a podcast for 10 fucking years. This is one of those things where I'm getting a feeling in my stomach. I'm getting a feeling in my podcast have Seth Rogen and for 15 likes. Huh? It's weird that we can't find it was his parent. Yeah, I'm more easy to figure out than him. It's time to end the anti-Christian weaponization of government started by the last administration. As per POTUS's elective order, the DOJ held the first task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias meeting today. How do you get Tom Hanks to do an interview with you for an hour? How do you get his people to set aside Tom Hanks for an hour if you get 100 fucking views? How do you consistently get some of the most famous people to sit down with you for an hour without any view at all and no money and seemingly no fans? It's an absolute CIA intelligence op. I am stun locked. I'm my mouth is agape. You're doing a friend a favor by talking to their son. It must be.
Jeremy Corbyn, Member of Parliament for this district and also founder of the Peace and Justice Project, and through that we're doing a great campaign called Music for the Many. We're here at the National Hemp Service store in Stroud Green Road in Finsbury Park to welcome
I love Jeremy Corbyn.
Kneecap.
Lovely intro. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
I know you're a busy man.
No, it's great to have you here. So with your music, let's go on to that. How did you form the band, and what was the development of the music?
As I was saying, I suppose we all lived together.
You all lived together and started playing around with guitars together, and you grew from that.
It came naturally, as I was saying, we all speak Irish together. It's not like it wasn't certain, we weren't making a point conscious by doing it in Irish. It's not like, oh here, I heard the
it's what you did anyway, it was your language.
Let's create a band, but let's do it in Irish. Yeah, it's not like we thought there was some sort of viable market for the Irish language, hip-hop. So it was just, we had this kind of subculture that was growing, and again, as we were talking about grassroots venues, because we had these venues that aren't solely based on commercial gain, commercial value, there's value in just, not everything has to make money to be valuable.
So you guys play music, you're protecting venues, which is what we're doing with this campaign on Music for the Many to maintain venues, but you're also political in the sense that you're quite rightly speaking out against what's happening in Gaza at the present time.
Let's not kid ourselves and say that this started on October 7th.
No, of course.
A lot of people believe that this all started on October 7th because of the resistance or whatever. This has been going on a long time, and obviously you're talking about that we're political. I think growing up in Belfast is political. It's very hard not to be political of where we're from, and obviously we have a long-standing history with the people of Palestine. Occupation is occupation, wherever it is in the world. So we've always had that sort of solidarity with the Palestinian people, and I think you have a responsibility, if you have any kind of platform, to say something. We're not necessarily honed in on the politics in our music per se. I mean, the big thing for us is creating
of music in Irish, modern music, contemporary music. So like we don't really hone in on like the thing about the north of Ireland. They're trying to say it's political when you speak Irish. It looks like a political stance. But for us, it's just speaking a language.
It's normal life.
It's just normal life. It's normal life.
It's your language.
Yeah, exactly. Like a political stance. So I mean, in our music itself, I mean, we just like to kind of create this world where the Irish is the main cool language and it has its own thing going on in youth culture and it's cool. Then we also like to use our platform that we have gained from that there online to talk about causes that we're passionate about, music, Gaza and Palestine or whatever else is happening there.
This is so cool. It's so awesome that Hassan can get is getting the mainstream attention, but it's also like we're in this moment of tremendous possibility. This is a moment to be a radical. In my entire life, there's never been a moment more to be a radical than right now. Even regular people are so fully questioning everything they believe, and the leadership has no support. The Democratic Party is in the dumper, and the Republican Party is in the dumper, are heading that way. People are ready for change. They want bold visions. It's never been better to be a radical than right now. Acceleration is in. We were right. Voting against Kabbalah was the best move. No, I'm kidding. If you do your LA area in-person shit, I will 200% show up. Did you go to the Bernie Sanders AOC rally? Because I did. Did you say hello? This is an unprecedented political moment in world politics. I would say that you're right. I would compare it to 1848. I would compare, like, we're not quite on that level yet, right? But we certainly are.
You know, for years we had a lot of bands in Ireland that had Sinead O'Connor.
Mike, what are you doing a meet and greet? Good question. I'm surprised by some of the Wine Mom conversations I've had lately. They drop some far left ideas and then like awkwardly chuckle and try to move on. I'm like, no, let's fan those flames. You should.
Talked out against the Catholic Church.
Okay, let's not like super dox this guy.
You had the Pogues, who did a song about the Birmingham Six.
Just last thing,
I don't
guys.
think that blog has any relevance, Chatter.
Recruiting people to sign up for a ceasefire. And we've got 1,000 bands of various names and so on from all over the place have signed up, for which thank you very much. Now you've signed it. Why?
It's pretty obvious when you think about it, really.
Yeah, it's an obvious question to finish on.
Jesus, like, I mean, it's mad that we have to even talk, I mentioned it earlier, like that we have to even take a stance on people being blown up, like, do you know what I mean? That's essentially what's happening.
So it's only a small contribution we can do to help.
It's the least we can do.
And make awareness, and I think the more we talk about it, and the more education people get on this subject, the better.
So if we can get the ceasefire, but a ceasefire has got to lead somewhere else.
Yeah, ceasefire's not enough.
And, you know, as Antonio Guterres said, this didn't start on October the 7th. There's a whole history of this, and the history is the occupation, the settlement policy, and the refugees in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Syria. They're the ones that they've been there for ever since I was born. They've been in those camps. Their whole life has been in a refugee camp. I've been to those camps, and I just feel so passionately about the lack of humanity in this world, that there's refugees who want to contribute, to make music, to live, to write, to achieve, just wasting their lives away in refugee camps. So thanks, guys, for what you do in inspiring so many people.
Thanks for taking the time to speak to us, mate.
Kneecap.
Mike, did you see this?
The videos coming out of the Coachella Music and Arts Festival has been absolutely horrific. A band of drunken Irish hooligans projected this statement: Israel is committing a genocide against the Palestinian people. F Israel, free Palestine. Can you imagine? Got a bunch of kids to chant free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine! Which of course they happily did, because these kids don't watch the news. They watch is TikTok, which has a lot of primary sources of Gazan people being bombed by Israel. Also, one of the Irish rappers said Tiach Fied H Arla, which is Irish for I am anti-Semitic. Headliner Green Day changed the lyrics to one of their songs to say this: running away from pain like the kids from Palestine. And it didn't stop there. No, in fact, I have been given a bunch of leaked footage from Coachella in which they do this to other songs.
Do you have the time to free Palestine? We all support Hamas. Wake me up when Israel ends.
Oh, so true.
Didn't stop at Green Day. Even Lady Gaga herself did this.
Love Yas and war, see to the river, Gaza to Ramallah, want to be Hamas. Love Yas.
Artist after artist let it be known exactly where they stand when it comes to Israel. Even Post Malone.
There will be no more Israel. A famous pop star Post Malone. Zionism needs to go.
Missy Elliott did the same thing. She put her thing down, flipped it, and reversed it. And it turns out that in reverse, it was a subliminal message straight from the Ayatollah of Iran.
Work it. I put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
We must bring down the Zionist entity. We must bring down the Zionist entity.
If you got a big, let me.
What happened to music being non-political? You know, there was a time when music was just about holding hands, figuring out who keeps letting dogs out, and about like Vietnam. I, for one, am ashamed that I ever went to Coachella. Got my first hand job.
I'm a big fan of Matt.
Looks like Coachella.
The other thing is, like, I was listening to Bad Hasbara the other day, and it is, how do I put this in like a really nice way? Because I mean this as a compliment, but it's going to come out as an insult. But it was like watching someone who's having a panic attack after they just drank a fresh pot of black coffee. And it just hit. It just hit. The energy was buzzing. It was so good. And like, I could feel, you know, like, I don't usually suffer from much anxiety. I've learned to, my mental illness is like, I will just convert an anxious feeling to some other feeling. So I don't really feel that kind of like, you know, that chest tightening anxiety often. It does happen to me, but not that much. But I must have had some level of like latent anxiety that I was holding down, because as I saw them buzzing around and talking over each other and just acting like my family would have a conversation, I could feel something relax. It was like, you know how they talk about comparison as the theft of joy? But for me, it was the giver of joy. It was the giver of relaxation. It was the giver of, yes. So they're really great. You should watch them.
You got to get over your fear of the gun. That's what's going to turn this country around. You got to embrace, okay? They're not going anywhere. You'd have a better chance of getting rid of cheeseburgers than you are of getting rid of guns. I don't know if you ever read the history of this country. It's not what they say it was. This is gangs in New York. We came here, there was other people here, and then there weren't, right? And then there was work to be done. We didn't want to do it. And then we brought other people in. A lot of shit happened, okay? So people are strapped because you don't know what's going to happen. But then liberals are like, oh, I got to stop the guns. I got to make a sign, stop the guns. Right? No, embrace them. Level the playing field out. That's what's going to stop these hate groups, I think, anyways. Because they're not afraid, because they're armed and you're not. So basically, what's going to turn this country around is the day a vegan beta male with a man bun does a drive-by in a Prius at a Klan rally and exposes them for the they really are. Nothing's gonna happen. I know I said but you know, I was worried I was getting too preachy. You know what I mean? I don't want you to feel like I'm not dirty too.
Honestly, like, I am parasocial with Bill Barr. In my mind palace, I am Bill Barr. Now, I'm not. I want you to understand, I'm not. I know I'm not. But in my fantasy, Bill Barr, what did I just say? What did I just say? What did I just say? Bill Burr. Did I say Barr? Oh my God, I'm sorry. In my mind palace, I'm Bill Burr. Jesus Christ. I was feeling myself starting to slag, chat, so I got some caffeine water. And then I fucking fumbled it. Bill Burr. I got some caffeine water. What the fuck is caffeine water? I got a big thing of caffeine, liquid caffeine, and I put it in my water. Caffeine water is insane, bro. Make a coffee. I don't want any oil. I don't want any calories. I just put a little Susan in there, and that's it. It's great. It's perfect. I don't want I don't want to buy coffee. I don't want to drink a pot of coffee every day. It's more caffeine anyway. I could like put a little bit in. Totally not autistic. This is self-medication. Does it help me drink more water? This is so I don't drink any calories. I don't want to drink any calories. This is me right now. Horse nicotine packets. I'm never buying regular Zins. Yeah, I don't take Zins. Hassan is taking Zins. You think my caffeine water compares to Zins towers? Hassan has Zin towers going to the ceiling, and you're making fun of me for adding a little bit of caffeine to my water? How do you measure it? I have a little, it's a science experiment. You know, these are like little I add like usually like 5 milliliters. I dose it out and I put it into like a liter of water. It's like light caffeine, honestly. Mike, this is so sterile and horrible. I'm sorry that you're not on my level yet. What do you think they do at the fucking factory when they make your Coca-Cola? Do you think the caffeine goes in there and like, you know, magically? When they're making your diet, when they're making your Coke Zero or whatever the fuck you drink, you think it just gets in there by magic? They have some guy with a pipette like that, and he throws a fucking barrel of fucking caffeine into the syrup. I support your habit and your DIY approach. Goddamn right. Please, Mike, don't tell us how this is made. I'm just telling you that I don't want to drink. I try to cut out all calories from drinks, except when I go out. Then I break that rule. But when I'm at home, I don't have any calories in a drink, or I try to avoid it. But when I go out, well, then I break all those rules. I'll do whatever I want when I go out. You know, if I'm socializing, then yeah, the calories are in the drinks. But at home, and I don't like fake sugar. I hate fake sugar. You know what I've been drinking, chat? This is why I made my science experiment. Good and plenty caffeinated seltzer. This is what I've been drinking from Target. Do they still sell it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me click this and make sure it doesn't like dox me. Okay. Wait, no. Did they stop making it? Oh, that would be so typical. Because I haven't been to Target in a minute, and I wanted caffeinated seltzer water with no sugar. I guess they stopped making it, huh? Yeah, they literally did. Son of a bitch. I did the same thing with no calories in drinks years ago and lost 15 pounds. Yeah, I know. Of course it's working. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Thank you, chatter. Caffeinated, sparkling water, unsweetened, no fake sugar, no calories, 35 milligrams caffeine per can. This is what I'm trying to make on my own. Perfect drink. This is a perfect drink. I don't just drink straight caffeine. I add a tiny little bit of caffeine to my liter of water. I can't believe this is surprising to people. Buy cold brew coffee and microwave it? That sounds disgusting. What's wrong with fake sugar? I hate the way it tastes. I hate the way fake sugar tastes. I don't like fake sugar. I don't like it at all. It just tastes bad to me. I could occasionally drink like a zero. Like if I were drinking zeros, I could occasionally drink like a zero, but I don't like it. I get like 6 ounces in and I'm like, I'm good.
If you're an American, drink regular soda, man. What the hell is wrong with you? Who the hell looks at water and goes, you know what this needs? Not sugar, not sweetener, not some delicious yellow 5 chemicals that make mice transparent, but just a little bit of throat pleasures. If you drink sparkling water, you think you live in Europe, okay? Oh, I'm gonna go visit the Alps, like on a holiday. No, you're not.
I mean, I literally do visit the Alps and go to. So I mean, I literally do live in Europe all the time, so it doesn't apply to me. But oh, sorry,
Deborah. Okay, you're an accountant. You don't get holiday. You live in America. There is no concept of holiday.
Here's my thing about Hassan. Can I just respond to Hassan in a minute for a second? Hassan doesn't eat seafood. I do not consider anything that Hassan has to say about food or drink entering your body as valid. He has a child brain when it comes to this stuff. All right. If I want a 10D recommendation, I'll go to Hassan. But other than that, he doesn't know shit about food or drinking or anything. Okay. No, this motherfucker doesn't even eat. This motherfucker thinks tuna fish and a scallop or a lobster and shrimp are the same fucking thing. This motherfucker goes to Japan and doesn't eat seafood. He's wrong. There's nothing wrong with eating and drinking like a 12-year-old. No, there is. You have one life. You have one trip. You have one chance to experience our, this incredible subjectivity you've been granted. You're inside of a body. You have perspectives. You have emotions. You have sensations. Take advantage of that chance. Have some sea urchin once in a while. Have a fucking slice of fucking cake. Live your life. Now, I'm not saying gorge and ruin other parts of your life because you don't know how to balance and moderate. I'm not saying be a pure hedonist. I'm just saying going, I don't like seafood is an insane thing to say to me. It's an insane thing to say to me. There are so many different experiences. Like if you're eating meat, unless you have like an ethical objection to eating meat, to just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just never eat anything that comes from the ocean. That is batshit crazy. Mike, you're gonna grow up and realize how wrong you are. What? You're hurting my fifis as a picky eater? You should be hurt. I hope I'm hurting you. You're missing out. You're missing out on life. You'll be okay, dude, if you don't eat tendies today. And you know what? If you don't like something, okay, it happens. You move on. You go, okay, I didn't like that specific thing. And you know what? In 6 months, try it again. Maybe the person who made it fucked it up. Maybe it was overcooked. Maybe it was underseasoned. You don't know. Seafood is dog shit. You could take my tendies for my gold. I like tendies. I like ketchup. I like mac and cheese. I like an all beef hot dog. You know, I get it. I like a cheeseburger. I'm American. I understand. But I like weird pickled shit. I like when I get a little spice, a little heat. You know, I like having different experiences on different days. I like a good oyster. I'm an adult. I like drinking a really peaty scotch. You know, there's just so many experiences in food and drink. And you get one trip around this. And honestly, food and drinking is one of the places where you get the most diversity of experiences. And you could do it while sitting at a table. It's great. Like, what are you doing? You're by being a picky eater, you're missing out on like part of like one of the most important reasons to be alive, honestly. Seafood is fishy and gross. No, most seafood, if fishiness is often your body sensing something that is going off. Liking oysters does not mean you're an adult. It means you like snot sliding down your throat. First of all, snot is constantly sliding down your throat. That's called basic anatomy. You're constantly having snot slide down your throat. That's anatomy. Actual snot. Okay, we're just like rambling today.
You have to understand, like, my diet consists entirely of fast food, soda, and...
That's like it, no?
Well, steaks.
Oh, yeah, steak.
And then cookies and candy. Yeah, but that's about it.
The chatters. This is you, chatters. This is you.
Never been sad eating a gummy bear.
No, it's not. It's not that.
I've never been. That has never happened.
I was like, okay, have you ever had like orange juice? He was like, I had Fanta.
Yeah.
That's not orange juice.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
never had any of these, or didn't you say you've like had red apples?
So I've had applesauce before, and
I don't even really like to watch Asmongold play up his like disgusting nature. It's not even interesting to me. It's honestly kind of boring. Can I be honest? Like, I find freak show like type content that people pull to be boring. Like, it doesn't surprise me, I guess. I guess it doesn't shock me. It doesn't really hit. Like, I guess if you were like, what? Whoa, and you're like really surprised by his answers, maybe I could see how it hits. But for me, it's just like, okay, boring. Okay, you suck. Moving on.
Now that you have a child, do you take back your picky eater hate? Oh, you mean now that I have a literal toddler, do I have more sympathy for adults who only eat pepperoni pizza with mayonnaise spread on top of it? I'll let you read between the lines on that one. The real answer is that it's complicated. As long as we're doing, you know, VH1 behind the takes here, all of my negativity towards picky eaters stems from one very simple question. Are you a picky eater because you don't like the food or because you think you won't like the food? Because having been a picky eater myself, there is a distinction. And if you find yourself saying, why does it matter? Personally, that's your fucking problem, okay? I don't know why it matters, but why won't you answer the question? If you genuinely, like if we go out to eat and you're like, oh, I've never had artichokes before, And then I go, oh, here, have one of these artichoke hearts. Like, you might as well give it a try if you've never had it. If you go, or you give me like an interrogation, like, before I place this food in my mouth and immediately within 0.01 seconds, my brain gives me an appraisal of its taste, could you write an essay on its mouthfeel and its flavor, and is the texture a little squishy or is it a little slimy? And if you're open to eating foods and then you don't like them when you eat them, I don't have a problem with you. I have some pity for you, I suppose. But if you're like, I'm a picky eater, and just bizarrely for whatever reason, like there's a lot of foods that I just simply will not eat because I think I wouldn't like them, but I will not try them, then I meet that with the slightest bit of judgment. Not derision, just judgment. But I don't know.
I 100% agree with Northern Lion. Although I will upgrade and say I do hold derision in my heart. Because I think it is actually reflective of your character, right? And maybe it's not completely one-to-one, but somebody who, I'm not going to watch the full rant, but let me just say that, like, if you are not open to experience, that's what we're really talking about. Openness to experience, right? It's how closed you are versus how open you are. If you're fundamentally a closed off person, then I don't like you. Now, it doesn't mean that if this is the one specific area where you've got a lot of trauma and there's a lot of things that you're working on and you kind of recognize it's irrational and you're open in a lot of other ways and you're really artistic and really open, you're really driven and this is just like your one quirk, then I could overlook it. But I do think it is indicative of your character where it's like, okay, wait a minute. It means you don't take advice, which is a huge flaw for me. That's like my #1 red flag for a person is if they only keep their own counsel. If they don't ever listen to other people's opinions and they don't rate other people's advice as like something they should consider, I consider that to be, you're not worthy of being a friend. Like literally red flag for me is, doesn't take advice or counsel from others. That's my #1 red flag. I don't want you to be my friend. Because like that means that if we ever have a conflict or we ever have a disagreement or any kind of like problem, you're never going to give any ground and you're just going to be a piece of shit the entire time. So if I see someone who's like never ever listening to other people, you're just never can be my friend. #1. This thing, openness to experience, is also really important. Because if you're not open in one area, you're oftentimes going to be closed in other areas and you're just going to be a drag in general. And a large part of my life is wanting to experience new things and kind of enjoy the novelty of being a human being on this planet when we have so many advantages and so many like opportunities to like enjoy things. And like, there's things I don't tend to like, right? I know there's things I don't tend to like, but if a good-hearted person who likes me wants me to do them and I haven't done it before, I'll give it a shot, right? Like I recently did like a fucking improv show with a bunch of friends said, oh, come do this thing. And I did it. I knew I wasn't gonna be, I thought I did. They said I did fine. They said I did great. They said, "Oh man, you were so amazing." They pumped my ego, but like at the same time, like I didn't feel awkward or embarrassed in any way. It was, I did the thing. I fully committed, and it's just like they asked me to do it. I hadn't done it before, so I fucking did it. I didn't bitch out. This is not peer pressure. This is just like. Peer pressure is when they when they pressure you to do something that is bad for you, And I do think that a little bit of peer pressure is good. I think it's a little bit of good. I think it's good. I think it's good when your peers pressure you to do something and be a little bit cooler, I think peer pressure is kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool when your peers pressure you to smoke a cigarette, Smoke a cigarette. See if you like cigarettes, You think smoking one cigarette is going to make you addicted? Like, no, of course not. You'll be fine. Never mind. I'm kidding.
Every time you talk about picky eating, it always becomes some argument about like freedom or something like that. Why can't I'm a grown adult. Why can't I eat a dinosaur chicken nugget for every meal if I want to? Well, you can, but like it's like freedom of speech, right? Like freedom of eating doesn't give you freedom of like not being made fun of or whatever. Plus, it's like I see you online. People that eat chicken tenders for like every single meal will be like, don't make fun of me. I'm a picky eater. It's a texture thing. But then meanwhile, they'll make like 1,000 jokes about veganism. How do you know somebody's a vegan? Oh, don't worry. They'll tell you. So, you know, I mean, admittedly, this is the strawest straw man that's ever existed. I'm just asking you to hold yourself to the same standards that you hold other people to. I make fun of a lot of stuff, but
literally, Hassan. Jedi Chai, thank you so much for the 10 tier 1s. Can I say that I like chai? It's my favorite tea. Chai is my favorite tea. Yes, I am a white man. Thanks for asking. But I didn't call it chai tea. I said chai is my favorite tea. I didn't say chai tea is my favorite tea. I said chai is my favorite tea. I did it correctly.
I'm not above making fun of myself. I mean, all that diarrhea talk, for example, I want you to know I'm down in the muck with you. It's a +2 conveyor belt. You can be a picky eater if you want. It's fine. Like, it actually doesn't matter. But if I'm out with you at, you know, why would I come in here? What am I thinking, man? I don't want to. Just give me the angel deals. I say no. I say no to that. Like, I really don't care if you're a picky eater. But, like, again, I think there's noble pickiness, which is I'll try anything. I just happen to dislike a lot of foods for whatever reason. That's fine. And that, like, there's not noble picky eaters, which are like, I'm scared of a little negative taste in my mouth.
Okay, and I think that we've pretty much got to the conclusion. And what he's really talking about is the openness to experience. So I'm just advocating be open to experiences, chat. And be open to your friends kind of pushing you. Like, I think you should be friends with people that push you a little bit. Not like crazy, not like dangerous, not like overriding your boundaries, but friends who are kind of like, you know, they give you a little bit of a shove. They give you a little bit of a shove. Not necessarily like if you really put your foot down and they're going to respect you, but just make you stretch a little bit. Maybe just give you a little bit of encouragement. Maybe give you a little bit of a wobble, you know? Because I think when we get older in life, we oftentimes sit there and we get very comfortable where we're at and we stop liking to take ourselves outside of the comfort zone. So I think having friends who kind of give you that shove is good. I'll give you another example of something I didn't like to do. I really didn't like karaoke that much because I'm not a good singer. I never spent any time singing. I don't really know about how to be a good singer. I'm not a singing type person, right? But when friends ask me to do karaoke, I will sing songs because God damn it, I'm not going to be a stick in the mud. And if I bomb, it's fun. Are you open to being bi then? I am open to being bi, but I just don't like, I haven't found any man that I am sexually attracted to. Is my answer to that. I'm just not sexually attracted to men. Like, it's just not, I'm open to it. If it happened, I would be, but I'm just not sexually attracted to men. I mean, I guess, you know, I assume there could be some person who identifies as a man who I am attracted to. I don't completely disclose that or close that as a possibility that could happen. It just hasn't happened to me. So I don't identify as bi. My friends are pressuring me to book a last-minute flight to Vietnam to celebrate their 50-year anniversary of reunification at the end of this month. There's going to be huge military parades. Thoughts? I mean, that sounds fun to me, but that sounds really fun to me. But I mean, if you can't afford it or you don't want to do it, then don't. But I probably would do it if I were you. The manliest thing you could do is have sex with a man. No. Manliness is not determined by your sexual actions or your desires. Manliness is defined by being a leader, being a protector, being, you know, following your duty to your community. It's about civic virtue. It's about protecting the weak. It's about helping those who need it. It's about self-sacrifice. It's about exalting, you know, family and community over your own interests. It's about mentoring people. That's what manliness is. Not like what you buy or where you stick your dick. What's womanliness? Same thing. A lot of that is the same thing. Like if we're talking about what masculinity really is, I don't think we should allow conservatives to define it in the way they want to define it. There's plenty of leftist men. And because we are men, we have our own concept of what it means to be a man. That's why I am a man, right? As opposed to not a man. And so I need to have a definition of what manliness is to me. Courage, determination, steadfastness. You know, those are the things that I consider manly. You know, loyalty, but not, you know, loyalty to righteousness, as opposed to, you know, if you just have no position on your own manliness, you're basically ceding that to fucking right wingers to come up with their own shit. Honesty is another good important one. Are you attracted to Riker? No. F-150 with dualies, RTX 590, trashy Rolex, bass boat with 2 150 horsepower engines equals man. I could own all those things, and I don't think that, like, I just feel like, people, like, gender conversations are just weird. That's why, anyway, Bill Burr is the man. I love Bill Burr, folks. Not Bill Murr, or whatever the fuck I said earlier when I had a brain fart. Jesus Christ. What did I say? Bill Maher? Murr? No, I said Bill Barr. Okay, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, no, Bill Murr? Remember when I made fun of this guy? Oh, wait, wait. W Strat him using his sexuality at the perfect time to advance his political career, hiding it wouldn't get him ahead, showing it it'll advance him. I would do the exact same stuff with my sexuality, gender identity. Oh, okay. Oh, this guy Fido replied. Okay, let's go. I'd argue it's possible to decide to care about others, but also gamify your own resources. So in other words, be a free rider. Be a free rider. So let other people negotiate the contracts and strike for you and take those things when you can advantage them. But when there's any risk for yourself, cross a picket line. See, that's why you're not a leftist and why we will purge you and why we will smash you with a million educational broadsides. To get ahead within the contract of the system you've been forced into, then be able to help others. Except the part is, if you think like this, you never help others. You don't ever help others, scab fuck. You never actually help others because you go, I'm better because I played the game smarter. I consider it smart and not necessarily bad to strategically use things like your sexuality to get ahead when convenient. This is, by the way, chat, this is how a lot of liberals think. And actually, a lot of people who say they are leftists think as well, where it's like, I'm going to use identity to, like, for example, attack Mike, right? Mike is a white man. So therefore, I'm going to crab in a bucket him and stick a knife in his back. Even though I agree, he's a prominent left winger, I'm going to use my interpersonal, attacks on his immutable characteristics to be like, see, he's got so much privilege as a white man, and not actually engage with anything I say as a way of kind of undermining me. That's what these liberals do, because they don't care about actually the movement or the cause in any way. They're just trying to advance themselves socially. And those are called opportunists. And those are the types of people that you have to utterly eliminate. And without, personally, I like the fact that I don't have to have you in here. I personally like the fact that I don't have to have you in here because you are a bad person. You are fundamentally a bad person. And there's no redeeming you. You are a scumbag. And you can never be trusted. Thanks for the confession. The only bad part about purging that guy is that other people who think like him will be quieter for a while, which is slightly unfortunate. We like the confessions.
Into yesterday's comments from President Trump and members of his...
Well, I'm going to, are you protesting for queer liberation and I'm queer? Well, I'm going to just keep quiet while you get beat on the streets. And then when you win, then I'm going to then parade myself out there as queer to gain personal advantage. So you have an arrest record and you got blacklisted from your career and you got evicted from your home and I didn't, and I got to build up all sorts of resources to have an advantage over you, and now I'm going to be in charge. Doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound like a good system? Hey, wait a minute. Except if everybody thinks like that, there is no protest for queer liberation. You never get to come out. You never get to experience love. You never get to be liberated because you free ride, and everyone else who free rides like you stays behind, and no one speaks up for Gaza. No one speaks up for queer liberation. Nobody speaks up for, solidarity with black people. Nobody marches a picket line or respects it. Nobody does anything for civil rights. We all live soulless, individualized, atomized lives of scumbaggery. You anti-solidaristic liberal fuck who is my enemy. You are my enemy, and everyone who thinks like you is my enemy. There is no peace to be had. We have to polarize against people like that. They are not toleratable. They're only going to be on our side in so much as they can extract from us. It's always going to be an extraction from us and never a return. Because why? Why would they? Does it advantage them to go on the picket line and protest? Does it advantage? Like, do you think you're going to fight a war with that guy? How do you think he would have dealt with the Nazis? He would have been working with Gestapo. That's the system I'm in. You know, if it means that I get some advantages for identifying Jews, I guess I'll do it because that's the system I'm in. Like, unbelievable that that guy could even admit that. That's what makes me like Pete. When people were fighting for things that directly affected him, he was nowhere to be found. But now that they won, he's there to take advantage. Utter parasite.
Administration, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told investors in a closed-door meeting the president's trade war with China is,
like,
quote,
that actually was a good troll. That was a good troll. That is a good troll. Like, that is a legendary troll because he is a real guy and that's what he really is. And he is like, that is triggering. That is fucking something where you're like, oh, I hate you. Oh, you are a good troll. Like, I legitimately hate you. You're advocating for basically the end of the left. You're advocating for liberalism in its like interpersonal core. And there are a lot of people on the left who are like that guy. That's the thing that drives me insane. There are people like that, like many people who don't actually believe in anything. Imagine your father being a Gramsci scholar growing up and be like, neoliberalism is a-okay with me. My name is Pete Buttigieg. No, that's not even true. Pete Buttigieg says neoliberalism is bad. And then he was like, but I know how to push the levers and advance myself and I will serve capital because he's self-aware of the nature of capitalism and the nature of neoliberalism and the nature of American bourgeois politics. He is literally intentionally a class traitor to serve the fucking bourgeoisie. He's doing it intentionally. He's saying Marx is right, but I'm going to join the class war on the side of the bourgeoisie. That is Pete Buttigieg. If you don't have a visceral hatred of Pete, you're not on the left. Like, I think that's a pretty automatic and easy divider. Like, if you don't have a visceral hatred of of that putrid fucking worm, then you're not on the left. And that's like, you know, not everybody who's on the left am I going to be, you know, it is what it is. Like, if you're going to vote for the person I want you to vote for, great. But you fundamentally are not the same.
Not sustainable. According to a person in the room, Bessent said he expects...
Do you remember when Mike absolutely comes through the dumpster, that fucking self-confessed scab? Okay. Yeah, this is colonial justice. Okay, dude. What? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you having a moment?
There will be a de-escalation in the very near future, but acknowledged negotiating with China is likely to be a slog. Later in the day, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt echoed the Treasury Secretary's optimism, adding the administration was setting the stage for a deal, although neither official suggested those negotiations actually have even begun. President Trump was asked about trade talks yesterday at the White House.
I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice. And we'll see what happens. But ultimately,
why does Pete suck so bad? Basically, he just represents everything that's wrong with American politics. He is a continuation of like this neoliberal market first corporate approach of the Democratic Party. He just serves the interests of the donor class. He's against most of the radical politics and meaningful reforms that will make this country better for the working class. He's the ultimate representative of like the corporate diversity hire who doesn't actually give a shit about accomplishing any of the goals that diversity set out to accomplish. He's just a soulless corporate drone who would sell out his own mother if it got him a half-step promotion.
ultimately, they have to make a deal. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high.
That's what makes him so dangerous.
But it won't be.
He's not up here in the clouds, in the frou-frou clouds. He says that shit to you to trick you, but he himself analyzes it like a machine, like a demon, like, you know, that's why I call him a demon, because an angel is somebody who has supernatural powers, but is on the side of good. A demon is someone who has supernatural powers, but is on the side of ill. That is Pete Buttigieg. He's a demon. He's seen the face of God and turned to hell. He knows Marxist theory. He knows Marxist analysis. He knows trade unionist politics. And he turned away from it to go and work for McKinsey. That's what makes him so dangerous. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Like, that's I back this take completely. Like, he knows what the right answer is. I mean, he wrote a glowing essay about Bernie Sanders in high school. He just decided it's not good for me to have these politics. I'm going to go with the hegemonic politic. I'm going to support the hegemonic powers. I'm going to be their most virulent defender and servant. And I'm going to hurt people for my own advancement. Like, it is what it is. By the way, chat, holy shit. Holy shit. We've just been yapping today. We haven't watched like anything. I've just been yapping today, huh? Guys, have you been to St. Peter's? Who here's been to St. Peter's? Who here's Catholic? And who here's been to St. Peter's Basilica? I went there like, gosh, I want to say 15 years ago. Let me see if we can get a better angle. This is what happens when you get the faith build. Do you see the papal sigil has keys? Basically, the papal sigil is the keys to like Rome and the key to heaven. And it's like they are asserting they literally hold the key to heaven. That's Catholicism right there. Okay, what else did I want to talk about today? I didn't even really talk about anything other than rambling about various shit. We are beyond fucked. Can I just say that we are beyond fuck? Huh? Wait, are the markets slumping again? Are they slumping again? What is going on? Okay. So they initially the markets climbed off news that Donald Trump might soften on tariffs, but they've been kind of slowly giving up those gains over the course of the day. So it started off with a big pop at the beginning of the day, and now we've just been slowly selling down. And that's kind of been the way it has been over the last week. You know, you have these pops that's slowly selling down, although they had a big drop. They had a drop on Friday. Big pop and a drop. Big pop. I don't know, man. Tesla reported a 20% loss and the stock shot up. Yeah, that's why you have to understand. Oh, well, I mean, it's because, quite frankly, it had crashed so much over the course of the last year. I mean, it was at 424 in January. Like, it's lost almost half of its value in like a couple months, and 4 months. Like, that's crazy. It is still absurdly overvalued. I couldn't agree more. And the company is dog shit. Like, it's literally dog shit. U.S. market rally is attributed to another short squeeze. Data from Goldman Sachs Prime Brokerage has found that major U.S. indexes have been driven higher by frantic short sellers who are scrambling to cover their losses. Many short sellers, including hedge funds, began trading a week, placing bearish bets on both single stocks and the markets as a whole. Oh, I mean, that's what Tip Ranks is saying. I don't know that that's actually true. That just sounds like narratives to me. Oh, the IOF battle. I don't think I could show you guys this on Twitch. I don't think I could show you battle footage on Twitch. I think that's unwise. I think that's unwise. Maybe, if Hassan watches it, then maybe we'll watch it. But up until that point. Okay. Oh, here's a shot. I just wanted to give you guys one final, sense of it. Workers made this. True. $40K. Where do you guys think? It's so funny when people say like Dark Souls and $40K. It's like, where do you think they got their ideas from? It's like, yes, exactly. $40K is specifically inspired by this. You know, of course it is. The Catholic Church has its issues, but nobody does art like the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is really weird. I feel like trying to explain the Catholic Church is it's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more complicated than people, especially Americans, understand it. It's a very, it wouldn't be around for so long if it didn't know how to do certain things, like inspire a sense of awe. Explain transubstantiation is just basically the belief that when the priest blesses the Eucharist, that he literally transforms the unleavened bread and wine to the body and blood of Christ. So that when you are eating the Holy Communion, you're physically eating Jesus Christ. You're eating God. All right, let's get some live news so I could just ramble for a bit. I'm so happy.
Breaking news out of Washington. We've just learned top Democratic senator will retire after 44 years in Congress. Dick Durbin joining us now, NBC News chief Washington correspondent Andrea Mitchell. Andrea, good morning. What do we know?
Good morning. Well, Dick Durbin is retiring and is not going to seek re-election. He is, of course, the senior senator from, excuse me, number 2 to Chuck Schumer, the senior senator from Illinois. He is the ranking member of Judiciary and as such been very deeply engaged in all of those controversial, really highly contested Supreme Court nominations. And he said he just decided that this is the time at the end of a very long, long congressional career. He's really considered one of the most thoughtful members, and of course there are already a number of House members who have been talking about possibly running. So there's been some talk about it. I guess that it was clear to people in Illinois that he was not doing as much fundraising and getting ready for a run. And obviously there's a lot of hope in the Democratic Party that 2026 could be the year where they have a chance of retaking the Senate, although they've got a lot of big retirements now. Retirements, coming up in Michigan, in Minnesota, other people who have long-standing roles in the Senate and the Democratic Party, and it's going to be, a tough climb, depending on, of course, what's happening with the economy and everything else going on into 2026. Yeah, but that's a big year. But right now, they don't have either house. They don't have the White House, so they really are, they've got some hopes for the House where it is an easier stretch. But
yeah, Andrew, I mean, just. I'm reminded, and I think it's important to mention, of course, you know this better than anybody else, but the senator has been instrumental in the different efforts over the years, actually over the decades.
By the way, she is also, I mean, like at a certain point, like, Andrea, why don't you retire? Like, you are a fucking ghoul. Like, you're like 90 million years old. Can you like retire? Like, why are you still on television? Like, why? Like, can you let a like person that's been born in this century, perhaps, like, get a chance? Like, it's 2025, for God's sake. Like, at a certain point, can you fucking boomers retire? How old is Andrea Mitchell at this point? Retire! Like, listen, I understand if you are, you're a boomer, you're working to make ends meet, you don't have enough in retirement, maybe you couldn't save when you were working or whatever, and you still have a job in your 70s to like make ends meet. I totally respect that. I totally get that. You live in a capitalist society, you need money. No shade. Okay. If you are a multi-millionaire married to Alan Greenspan, can you quit? Can you retire at 78 and go on vacation? Like, do something. Say hi to your grandkids. If you don't have any, go work at a fucking, animal rescue. I don't know. Read a book. Do anything. Go away. Like, Social Security, retirement age, the maximum retirement age, the age where Social Security is like, you now need to start collecting your Social Security is 70. Go away. Jean-Luc Mélenchon endorsed socialist candidate Zohran Mandami for mayor of New York City while on the visit to the city. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, hell yeah. I feel like Mélenchon, if he was American, he would cook a lot more. I don't think the French, like he's good as, he's just bored in the wrong place. You know, the French are just, I don't know. Like they actually elected Pete Buttigieg. They elected the French Pete Buttigieg. That's who Macron is. Macron is the French Pete Buttigieg. Where's Bernie's and AOC's endorsement? Good question. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. All right, let's talk about these tariffs.
While the markets are reacting to yesterday's comments from President Trump.
Seeing people say that AOC and Bernie are timing their endorsements, what would the strategy be behind that? The good question. Well, it's a good question. Normal people don't pay attention to the mayoral primary months in advance. Normal people are living their lives and just not really spending their time going like, what are the platforms of all the candidates? And then going through and like making a spreadsheet and then kind of delivering and then figuring out, you know, who they want to vote for months in advance. Okay. Normal people don't do that. So if Bernie Sanders and AOC endorse Zoran, it will be a news story, but the news story will like be, everyone will notice it. Everyone will be like, oh, look, Bernie's endorsing them. And then it goes away and you know, they kind of forget. And the election is still months in advance. And yeah, you can use that Bernie endorsement to like campaign on. And if you needed help like getting recognized or getting your campaign off the ground, it's really valuable. But when you're like a top mayoral candidate on your own right and you don't need their endorsement, it seems better to time it so when normal people are starting to pay attention and they're like, okay, who's who, when those endorsements can kind of like pay the most dividends. So ultimately, it may even be Zoran himself trying to time the endorsement, or I may be coping and they might be doing dumbass shit. I think the biggest problem we have with not being our own party is this exact thing. This is why I think being a Democratic primary as the way that we try to get progressive change is so flawed, is because people only have so much room in their head for so many politicians. You know, you're not going to learn 500 different politicians, okay? And you're not going to be able to like differentiate between 500 different centrist Democrats and right-wing, like, you know, you're going to only have the barest sense of most of these people. So if we actually had a left-wing party that was full of left-wingers that had a left-wing program, then all you would need to know is that about, I support that party. And then you could have the person who's the best face of the party represent the party in national media coverage, which is why I really disagree with the entryism as a viable strategy. I don't think it's a good strategy, honestly, at this point. But if that's a strategy that people want to do, and that's the strategy that's being pursued, I will register my dissent and move on to try to help people that I agree with. Like that's, you know, I'm not going to stamp my feet.
Trump and members of his administration, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, told investors in a closed-door meeting the president's trade war with China is, quote, not sustainable. According to a person in the room, Bessent said he expects there will be a de-escalation in the very near future, but acknowledged negotiating with China is likely to be a slog. Later in the day, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt echoed the Treasury Secretary's optimism, adding the administration was setting the stage for a deal, although neither official suggested those negotiations actually have even begun. President Trump was asked about trade talks yesterday at the White House.
I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice. And we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're going to be very good to China.
The president also walked back his attacks in part on Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, days after posting online Powell's termination can't come soon enough, in the words of the president there. Yesterday, Trump said he never was actually going to fire Powell.
None whatsoever. Never did. the press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his...
Personally, chat, he probably can't fire him. So now Trump is like, I could fire him if I wanted to, but I just don't want to, is him folding like a bitch.
Idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier.
Hey, it would be good timing. It would be the best timing. Can you believe this timing? Art of the deal.
He's such a dumb fuck.
But no, I have no intention to fire him.
So, meanwhile, the White House says more than a dozen countries have brought the administration written trade proposals, and several foreign leaders are setting meetings this week to discuss potential deals.
Spoke to our entire trade team this morning. There is a lot of progress being made. We now have 18 proposals on paper that have been brought to the trade team. Again, these are proposals on paper that countries have proposed to the Trump administration and to our government. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, NEC Director Hassett, and Peter Navarro, the entire trade team, meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We're doing very well in respect to a potential trade deal with China. As I mentioned, there have now been 18 proposals in more than 100 countries around the world who are wanting to make a deal with the United States of America. And the president and the administration are setting the stage for a deal with China.
So while questions still remain on negotiations with China, the White House is reportedly close to general trade agreements with Japan and India. The details of the trade deals are still being worked out. According to Politico, the agreements are closer to memorandums of understanding or a broad architecture for future deals. Jim Vandehei, you guys are writing about what's happening behind the scenes and what sort of led to this moment here.
Treasury Secretary Bessent says China that a trade deal may take 2 to 3 years. Okay, so are we going to have tariffs during that trade deal, or are we going to not have tariffs during the trade deal? Like, I literally can't buy solar panels. Like, if I wanted to buy solar panels, I literally can't. Do you understand how fucking bullshit this is? And you know who's benefiting? This worthless fucking bullshit company. Because of this stupid fucking bullshit. This is... Oh, okay, they're not even doing well. They popped like the last couple days, but they're now selling off again. Like, because U.S. solar stocks rally as U.S. intends to slap tariffs as high as 3,500%. This is fucking pathetic, man. This country is such a shithole, dude.
Here, saying that President Trump got a scare from CEOs and the markets on Monday. What has led to what we're seeing today?
Yeah, I think the important takeaway would be in the last 24 hours, I'd say for the first time, we feel like in talking to White House officials, they're starting to make progress in persuading Trump that what he did early on was too dangerous and is really having ramifications that go beyond what he was seeing in his line of sight. Very important meeting yesterday in the White House. You had the CEOs of Walmart, Target, Home Depot with the president, warning him very bluntly, saying, listen, like, you're going to have price increases soon. You're going to have empty shelves in a lot of our stores.
Like in 2 weeks.
Like in 2 weeks. And you're going to have smaller companies going under because they're so reliant on trade, and that hasn't showed up yet at the stores, but it will soon. And I think the combination of that, watching the markets, hearing from other CEOs across different sectors saying the same thing, does appear, and I put quotes around appear because the president really is dug in on tariffs as a theory, but at least the White House officials who are trying to persuade him are. And that is an important thing to note about Trump. Like, as someone who runs a company as a CEO, you need people around you who will look at you and say, you know what, that's a dumb idea, and say it bluntly, or that's a dangerous idea, and say it bluntly. He doesn't have that. So when you're trying to persuade him, people have to either bring in other officials that he respects, or they have to say, no, sir, this is actually a genius idea if you move it this way. And so the process of moving him is taking a lot longer than those that don't like the policy internally would hope. So we'll see if he continues on this track, but certainly the comment on China, certainly the comment on Powell, the idea that was the media making it up that he wanted to fire him. They were reacting to his social media post where he basically called him a dog and said that he's a loser and shouldn't be in the gig. Like, is he saying he should be fired? No, but anyone else interpreting that might be fair to interpret it as that way.
So we're just making shit up whole cloth. Speaking of making shit up whole cloth, chat, did you realize something? We're 4 hours into the stream and I forgot to shill. I need you guys to support me because I'm going to make this a Bleach themed anime stream. Okay, chat? So I want to buy a lot of these Bleach katanas. I'm just kidding. But they're expensive. I can't afford a Bleach. Are they sold out? Ooh, true katana. In all seriousness, chat, if you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. I need your Amazon Primes. That's like taking $2.50 from Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. That's praxis, baby. You have the opportunity to take money from Jeff and force him to donate to somebody who wants to expropriate his entire wealth. If I had the power, I would take every single of stocks and bonds and real estate and capital from Jeff Bezos that I could. I would take it all. We would expropriate. We would declare Amazon to be a utility. We would cut the rates. I mean, Amazon, have they put any serious development into the Amazon website in 20 fucking years? Like, it looks the same. It's still dog shit, by the way. Can I just say this? Amazon is dog shit. Amazon is a dog shit website. Can I just say this? Like the, Amazon Prime and free shipping and stuff is great. But as far as finding products, knowing if they're any good, knowing what the quality is, the UI is trash, the search is trash. The fact that they're constantly putting counterfeits in there and like resellers, it's dog shit. Sponsors, ads, and searches. Yeah, I fucking hate it. Chuck Schumer's job approval is down to 21%. Oh, did you guys see that AOC's approval is skyrocketing and the centrist Dems are starting to mold?
From Spectrum News 1, I want to ask you about some of the freeway protests that your office is pursuing, the If Not Now protesters.
I was supposed to be out of here at 1 o'clock. I've got back-to-back meetings.
Okay, we're not getting answers from your office on these questions, and we have stories.
I don't comment on pending litigation, as you know.
In 2023, a union protest blocked traffic outside LAX for hours. City leaders like Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez participated, placed in handcuffs, but never charged. Flynn has represented traffic blocking activists for 25 years and says her clients have never been prosecuted for peaceful actions, instead told to stay out of trouble in exchange for keeping a clean record. She points to Feldstein Soto's own pro-Israel tweets like this one after October 7th that condemned the attacks and added every nation and every moral person must support Israel defending her people. That tweet was later deleted.
Of course, public officials have a right to speak on whatever issue they want. But once they come out on one side of something, if they're only criminally charging and going after people who disagree with them, that becomes a problem.
Feldstein Soto disputes the bias allegations.
They're alleging that you're prosecuting them because you disagree with their message. We want to give you an opportunity
to prosecute on content, ma'am. You know that.
In court, her office argued the tweets preceded Israel's military escalation and thus do not necessarily indicate bias against the protesters. But the allegations of bias are not just coming from If Not Now. Another incident involved a Thanksgiving Day protest in 2023 outside the home of a prominent Israel lobbyist. A whistleblower from inside the city attorney's office said Feldstein Soto personally called then Chief Michael Moore to allege a prominent pro-Palestinian activist was involved. In a leaked confidential memo that's now part of this case, LAPD said the evidence didn't back her claims. No charges were filed. It's all enough for the...
Anyway, chat, I'm glad to see that the worm is turning. The vibes are shifting. All these disgusting scumbag Zionists, all the people that supported this shit, they're going to be remembered as Red Scare, the same way the people who did the Red Scare. And they were considered scum. The people that snitched, the people that participated, the people that supported it are going to be remembered as scum, just like the people who participated in the Red Scare. Everybody who supported Israel's genocide on Gaza is going to be despised in the coming years. I want you to understand that. And I want to say that I am proud to have always been on the right side of this issue, not because I care about me looking good, but because I saw this movement coming and I'm proud to have been a part of it. I'm proud to have been a small part of it. an insignificant part of it, but a part of it nonetheless. And it feels good to know that you don't have to sell out. You don't have to be a coward. You don't have to be a piece of shit to succeed in this life. In fact, it probably is going to come around to hurt you. Because I can tell you this right now, chat. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And, you know, if you are a pro-genocide person and people find out, that is what really distances you from other human beings. Because every single day we see live on our feeds and in the reports of the most unbiased international human rights organizations, children being murdered. That is fucking gross, man. Anyway, let's go back to this tariff shit. I'm just glad that the prosecutorial misconduct of these people is being exposed.
Well, yeah, I mean, Trump said, quote, on Friday in a Truth Social post, Powell's termination cannot come soon enough. That's pretty explicit. He also called him a loser a couple of days ago. But, John, what are you hearing about the turn here, from a little bit of a turn in rhetoric, at least, from the president about Powell yesterday, about China? Obviously, the markets have tanked because of these tariffs. They tanked even more when he started threatening the job of Jerome Powell. Someone got to him, maybe just for a moment. As always, it might just be a day and he'll be back at his attacks today. But someone perhaps communicating to him, as Jim suggests, CEOs, people he respects, rich guys, saying, this is not working. You got to pump the brakes.
A hallmark of Trump's first term were these warring factions in the building. And this time around, they really tried to say that's not the case. We're all using our oars, rowing in the same direction. But we have seen a real split here in the last couple of weeks. And what's happened is that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is a little more emboldened than he was back on Liberation Day 3 weeks ago. And Peter Navarro has been pushed aside somewhat. There's been, including one key meeting last week where Trump announced his pause on tariffs. It happened because Navarro was literally on the other side of the building, and other aides rushed to Trump and got a few moments with him. And the president still remains responsive to who's in his ear last. And that's what we saw a little bit yesterday.
He's responsive to who's in his ear last. That's another way of saying he's a fucking moron who lacks object permanence. Like, what? Hutch is literally gooning to the Mayor Pete interview. It's amazing. Hutch is literally 5 IQ. Like, Hutch is literally 5 IQ. Chat, we have a hype train going on right now. And that is the single best way to support the stream, is by subscribing during a hype train. And there are so many people that mauled and monitor my sub count every single time people talk about this stream that hate my politics but never watch. The thing they mention the most is, I can't believe he's got so many viewers, he's got so many subs, and they're like, it's Oilers. It's Oilers. Well, now it's time for you Oilers to make yourselves known. By Oilers, I mean pay for your own subscription. Support the stream. Why are you guys bringing Hutch shit to me? Why are you guys bringing Hutch shit to me? I mean, okay, that's pretty good. Well, that was like last year. That was the elections, I think. Maybe he got boosted on election day, maybe. But like the last 120 days, even including election day. You know, the last 90, like, what are you guys, this guy's just dying. His channel's dying. Like, who gives a fuck? Why are you bringing me this? That's because nobody likes Pete Buttigieg. Like, centrist Democrats the energy is against them. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Let's compare the last 90 days. Look at this. Line go up. 1.36 million hours watched to 100,000. That means that I am, 13 times the size, like, if not more. Like, who gives a shit? This guy's irrelevant. He's like literally irrelevant. Who gives a fuck? Hutch mentioned play the clip.
Did you cover Hutch's reaction? No, I don't cover Hutch's reaction to anything. Is there a new Call of Duty map out? Maybe I covered that. Considering how fucking consistently wrong he is, why in the ever-loving fuck would I ever cover Hutch's takes on anything political related? I already listened to enough morons be professionally wrong all the time on the Republican side. What do you want me to do? You want me to also listen to professionally wrong morons on the liberal side? I'm sorry. Has that man ever had a correct take? Maybe you should pay Michael from Pennsylvania the $500 or $1,000 that he had.
Pay up, Hutch. Pay up, Hutch. All Hutch would have to do is come in here, and he'd only have to drop, what, 300 subs? Just come in here and drop 300 subs, Hutch, and all will be forgiven. Maybe you could get a good take here or there.
His team also, as Jim notes, some CEOs warning him like the damage here is real. You can't be threatening to fire.
Actual news, they're going to try to run. Oh, Jan Skawanski planning May 5th retirement announcement. Oh, the veteran House Democrat is facing a long shot primary. Apparently not. Apparently not. A longtime leader of the progressive bloc in Congress. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Kat's choice. Why did Kat choose to like primary a progressive elderly person and not someone else? Like, it was kind of a weird decision, but okay, whatever. I'm glad she's winning. Whatever. Mike is amazing. I can't read people's names. Skawoski. I don't know how to pronounce people's fucking names. On Wednesday, longtime Illinois Senator Dick Durbin. Who's the most progressive politician that's popular in Illinois? Who's the most progressive politician that's popular in Illinois? JB's already governor, so I don't think he's going to run for Senate. Who can run for Senate to take Dick Durbin's spot? You think JB will run for it? When's JB's... Does Illinois have term limit? There is no limit of number of terms a governor may serve. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, JB's already been governor. He's in his second term. It would make sense to run for Senate, honestly. Like, it wouldn't make sense to run for he's already been in office for 6 years. It would make sense. I think senator is the best job in politics. I think U.S. senator is the easiest job in politics. You only have to run every 6 years. You're incredibly overpowered as far as the amount of power you personally have, and you just get to like be at the top of national. Like, everybody takes senators seriously, even if they're a total fucking dope. You have to take them seriously. Isn't governor a better position to launch a presidential run from? Not anymore. I think that's not true anymore. I think governors are washed. Governors used to be better to run as president because, one, they were an executive, and two, because they were at the top of the state level politics, they had so much more leverage over donors. So they would have like a very strong donor base because of their state level politics. But I think now all politics is national, so senators are talking about national politics and involved in national politics more. So I think senators are actually a better job now. It used to be governor, and I still think governor is good for running for president. I think it still is a strong seat to run for president from, but I think senator is better. Also, senator is like no risk, whereas governor, you're kind of like, you're souring your governor boost. Because people tend to like their governor more than other politicians. Do you have a pick for governor for California coming up? Oh, God. No. They're going to run Kamala Harris, by the way. They're going to run Kamala Harris, which is actually a good thing because she's very bad at this. And Democrats love losers, and she's very bad at this. And I don't think a progressive would win the governor's mansion. So this is actually good because you're holding one of the more important seats in the hands of somebody who sucks. So that means they're not going to be nationally relevant. Chat, we are 22 subs away from the sub goal. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting the stream by subscribing. Help me trigger the fuck out of all our favorite enemies.
Mike from PA, who is as hideous on the inside as he is on the outside, which is rare. Mike from PA.
This is my favorite thing.
On the is legitimating.
You're effed. You know what I mean? Like, when someone succeeds, you think Ethan Klein would be bringing up 10-year-old articles to try to say that I did X, Y, and Z bad thing? If I wasn't one of the more successful political streamers on Twitch, do you think any of these people would give a fuck about me or bother insulting me?
I mean, every time I look, he has between 7,000 and 8,000 paying members, which is pretty disturbing, but it is what it is.
They would ignore me. I wouldn't matter. But the fact that, you know, we find them stupid and we're not intimidated and we're not scared and we're living our best lives, that's what they're mad about. H3, where they found out your average viewership.
3.8K average.
How much?
Right now, the past 30 days, 3.8.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah, I know.
Like
the fact that they're able to succeed is a condemnation of the entire movement.
That's like my favorite edit. I don't know what it is about Ethan Klein, but like, I've had a lot of people that don't like me over the years, which, that's, problems. What does that say about me, right? I bring out the hate in people sometimes. But Ethan Klein hating me has been the most comical enemy I've had yet. I don't know why, but every time Ethan Klein is making fun of me, it just makes me laugh. Like, I never get mad. I always just laugh. I'm like dying. We almost went a whole stream without Crash Out Bandicoot. Well, I'm shilling, and we're 18 subs short of the goal. Like, we gotta break out the big guns. We gotta break out the big guns if we're not hitting the sub goal. Like, of course, I gotta shill. I remember you averaging 1 to 2K, and then came back to watching again, and you averaged 4 to 5K. Crazy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for watching. All that Ethan Klein did. Garganimal, thank you for the 20 bomb and for helping me hit the sub goal. You're the best. All that Ethan Klein did is make more people that would be interested in my stream watch it, because he validated me by attacking me. Like, that's what Ethan Klein doesn't understand. He validated me by attacking me. He validated Bad Panada by attacking him. He validated Denims by attacking her. He validated Frogan by attacking her. And like, for people like, and I want to call out Denims and myself and Bad Panada in particular, because we are people who I think are really good content creators in our own right. And I think, we may not agree with each other on everything. I think we all have disagreements with each other. But the thing is, by attacking us all together, people who were interested in this issue checked us all out. And if you vibe more with me, you stuck with me. If you vibe with Bad Panada, you stuck with him. And if you vibe with Denims, you stuck with her. And a lot of times there's crossover, right? But all he did is just give us a bunch of attention to exactly the type of people we want to see us. Pro-Palestinian content creators who like Hassan. That's like the ideal person to be shown to these, to be recommended us. And the vitriolic hatred they show towards us just proves all the more reason to check us out. Because if he's going this hard on Mike from PA or Denims or Bad Panada or Bad Hasbara or, fucking Noah Samson or whoever else, I'm not leaving anyone out, or Frogan or whatever, then they're worth checking out. And if you vibe with them, you stay. And, I have a long track record of when people actually watch my stream with good faith, a lot of people actually end up staying. So if I could get you to show up here and be in good faith, a lot of people are going to stay around. Now, I'm going to fight with you because I'm very pugilistic, but it is what it is. It's crazy how much he grew Denim stream. Yeah. I mean, like, she had one of her best, I think she had her best stream ever, like, on last Saturday. Like, the guy is helping her so much. And I love to see it because we're, whenever your friends are winning, you feel good. Tally Hughes, or you should. Anti-blasting, thank you for the 20 tier ones. The 30-day ban is how I found about Denims and VO. Yeah, it's crazy. White House Press Secretary Levitt right now. There will be a fair trade deal with China. There will be no unilateral reduction on China tariff. Yeah, we saw that tweet earlier.
The head of the Fed. Well, let's be clear, he did. And you can't, the idea of a trade war with China is going to continue to sink the.
Looking at incoming vessels at the Port of Los Angeles, America's largest container port. This week, we're in front-running mode, 57% year over year. Next week, we're basically back at normal. 2 weeks from now, we're in the bad place, negative 44%. The entire last month, May of last year, they imported 345,000 containers. This first 3 weeks of May 2025, they're projecting 207,000 containers. I need to go shopping. I think I might go. I'm not a shopper. I'm not a shopper. And thank you everybody for all the sub gifts. You guys are the best. I'm not a shopper, but I did buy myself a TV for Christmas. I bought myself a new TV for Christmas, so I don't need a TV. I just recently got a big sectional couch, a new coffee table. I have a 4090. Should I buy a 55090? I didn't feel like I needed to buy it. It didn't seem like it was worth it. It's a total ripoff? Okay. Yes, and give me the 4090. No, I will not. I have an OLED monitor for my center monitor, but I have two, like, and it's like an OLED that does, what is that, 1440 or whatever? The 1440, not 14, yeah, 1440. I don't have a 4K. Should I get a 4K monitor just to have? Because I feel like things are going to fuck up. Get a better camera. I have my better camera. I have it right here. I have my better camera. It just have to set it up. I got some lenses. I need to get some lenses and some studio equipment. Maybe new clothes. I was thinking about that, but I could thrift, can I? But maybe they're gonna all like be picked clean. Get a higher frame rate monitor. My monitor is like super high frame rate as well. It's super high frame rate. The only reason I'm asking is because like I think it's gonna be years before it, or it may never return to normal. So it's like, you know, getting it now, you know, you may never get another chance. I might even buy a car. Maybe I should buy a car. Maybe I should go buy a car. Like, honestly, get myself like a Camry or like something like that, or a UAW built. How much driving do I do? Not that much. Probably half the average of an average American. Maybe not even 10K. Probably not even like, probably somewhere around like 7,000 to 8,000 miles a year. Very little. Less than normal. Because I work from home. Like I don't need to commute. I probably even do 6K a year if I think about it. I'd have to look, but it's low. Like I got a 2022 Chevy Bolt EUV. Fully loaded version is 20K used, but I can't recommend it enough. Think of repair costs, get a Honda. I don't know. I might literally buy, like, I think they're collapsing the economy. I think they're literally collapsing the economy, and cars just aren't going to be here. Like, I know that people are like, ooh, cars are kind of like expensive right now. And it's like, I think they literally may not have cars soon. What are repair costs for an EV? EVs take less maintenance in general because electric motors are incredibly simple. EVs are superior in almost every way. Like electric vehicles are superior to internal combustion engines in almost every way, as long as you have the charging infrastructure and the battery capacity. But as far as like comparing an EV for a regular car, an EV is superior. And if you're driving more than like 400 or 300 miles a day, then that's a different use case. But you're not the average person with a car. The average person with a car is not driving 500 miles a day. Okay, that's like the only example of where having a you know, ICE engine is better. But that's going to change eventually. Like the battery range is increasing. China is developing all sorts of new battery technology, and I hope we are able to like take advantage of it. But it's I mean, I don't know. America really cares about IP, so I don't think American companies are going to steal Chinese IP. So, you know, because they really respect IP and intellectual property rights in this country, so I don't think they'll try to like steal Chinese innovations. You know, because that would be against, you know, intellectual property, which they care about a lot.
The markets here, and Monday was a really rough day. We saw this rhetoric yesterday that at least momently gives a respite to Wall Street. But Caddy, I want to go to you on this because this is, we all know it, we say it a lot, you know, the markets and also for other nations looking to deal with the United States.
You don't really need 450 miles of range. You don't need 450 miles of range. I think 300 miles is like a good amount. 300 miles of range is like probably the minimum I'd recommend for an EV. And then, you know, the one problem is like Tesla's got the big advantage that Tesla has in America is they have the fast chargers. And because we did this stupid privatized bullshit, instead of just investing in like having lots of fast chargers everywhere, this shithole fucking country,
States looking to have trade with the United States, what do they bank on? They want predictability. They want certainty. They want, you know, there's some sort of sense as to we know where this is going. And even on a day where, yes, the markets cheered what Trump did, it's another 180.
I like plug-in hybrids, Coid, as long as they're true plug-in hybrids in the sense that the gasoline engine is really just a generator and you don't have like the dual drivetrain bullshit. You know, like the hybrids where it's like we have an electric engine and we have the thing, and then, you know, no, it should just be an electric drivetrain. But the thing about like a plug-in EV is you're then hauling around this fucking generator, right? So you're adding all this extra weight and complexity. And it's like, do you really need that? Do you really need that?
Constant shifting of stances, of language, and it's just so hard for any other nation to get their arms around it. And yes, I think at best we can say loose understanding of frameworks to deals. It's gonna be hard to fill in those blanks.
Yeah, and the question now is the message we've had from the last 25...
If I was like being honest, I would probably buy, like if I was a person in a suburban house, I would probably buy, and I lived with another driving adult, I would probably buy one EV and one plug-in hybrid. And I like cars. You know, I'm not an anti-car person. I do enjoy driving a car. I like a car. You know, I like fast cars, whatever. But just because I like something doesn't mean our entire society should be designed around it. And because I like driving, and I've lived in societies where they have robust public transit, it actually makes it better to drive in societies that make driving not the thing they're focused on, because there's a lot less traffic. And so when there's situations where driving is preferable for whatever reason, it's actually a better experience to drive, because everybody who doesn't need to drive or want to drive is not driving. So they're off the fucking road.
24 hours from Scott Bessent and from the president himself about Jerome Powell. The end of the story. Is that the decision now going forward? It's no longer going to be the roller coaster, but the strategy has been set. Powell is not going to be fired. The Fed is going to maintain its independence. The tariff war is going to come down, and that a normal service, if you like, will be resumed. We don't know that yet. Trump seems to be more receptive to markets today than he was 3 weeks ago when he initially announced Liberation Day. Scott Bessent's going to be speaking at the International Monetary Fund later today for their spring meetings. And it's interesting that this is a kind of time where the international community has come to Washington. I was speaking to an IMF official a couple of days ago who said there's two real problems with how the world is seeing the White House at the moment. The world of financiers is seeing the White House at the moment. One is the policy. They don't like the policies of protectionism and these tariffs that are being put on countries around the world. But the second and the bigger problem is a question of competence. Is this White House competent when it comes to stewardship, not just of the American...
It's based on mood and vibe. You guys don't know that capitalism is based on the mood and vibes of capitalists? You didn't know that? It's like one of the most important things. I talk about this all the time, but I'm just going to mention it one more time, which is animal spirits. Animal spirits. I don't want fucking... refers to the emotions and instincts that drive investment and consumption decisions, often in contrast to purely rational or data-driven choices. When people start freaking out, it causes material changes for you that even if you're perfectly rational, you have to then react to. Nothing is ever purely mechanistic.
Economy, but of the global economy. And I was told that that second issue is the bigger concern that other countries have with America at the moment.
Speaking of the IMF, we're looking at this headline right here from CNBC. IMF slashing 2025 U.S. growth forecast to 1.8%. That's down almost a full percentage point for the projections internationally. Let's bring in the anchor of CNBC's Worldwide Exchange, Frank Holland. Frank, it sounds like, based on what we're talking about here, some of the leaked rhetoric that we're hearing from Treasury Secretary Bessent and from the president himself about not now wanting to fire Jerome Powell, that the futures are up a bit.
I mean, absolutely. Futures are considerably higher. Looking at the NASDAQ and the S&P in the pre-market, both of them up over 2%. So very clearly, a lot of optimism over a possible end to the trade war with China that's impacted business and consumer confidence. The president is saying he's going to be, quote unquote, very nice, and he expects tariffs to come down substantially when it comes to that trade deal with China. Also, you mentioned Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also saying he sees a de-escalation. However, when kind of pressed on it, he says that the administration hasn't really talked directly to China. However, this morning, China's adding to the conversation, saying in part in a translated statement, the U.S. can't say it wants to reach an agreement with China, and on the other hand, keep exerting extreme pressure. So that statement, again, coming from China today, translated, I guess it's one thing you could say is positive, that there's a dialogue. I talked to a lot of trade officials. They say as long as there's a dialogue, it's positive. When there isn't any conversation, it isn't positive. But the very latest from China. And then, as you mentioned, President Trump saying he doesn't want to fire Jay Powell. We saw the market sell off on Monday on some critical comments about the Federal Reserve Chair urging him to lower rates. Also, the president getting a bit personal with Jerome Powell. Remember that Fed decision's coming up on May 7th. So the market's just kind of breathing a sigh of relief that pressure on Jerome Powell seems to be going away, at least for now, and that potentially there could be a trade deal on the way. So you mentioned the futures are higher again. S&P and the NASDAQ, both of them up over 2% in the pre-market. A number of factors. Again, the president, no plans to fire Jay Powell. China trade deal. Hopes also that Tesla shares will continue to move higher. We're going to talk a bit more about Tesla. I know you guys want to talk about it, but CEO Elon Musk saying he's going to reduce his time working with DOGE and focus more on Tesla. Tesla, a big part of the markets for both the S&P and the NASDAQ. A lot of weighting there. So that's those shares moving up about 6% higher, giving the markets a boost as well. One other thing to watch this morning. Apple and Meta, both of them fined by the EU today under the Digital Markets Act. About 500 million euros for Apple, about 200 million euros for Meta. The president has said in the past that he would possibly put tariffs on countries that penalize U.S. companies. So again, something to watch. On my show earlier today, we spoke to a U.S. trade official. He said the trade bloc is looking to Asia to make some deals as it continues to de-risk from China as opposed to decouple from China. A lot of reports say that the White House wants the EU to decouple from China. That trade official we talked to said that's not really an option, and it's still looking to.
If you're China right now, and you can see that America is literally trying to position you to where they could fuck you over, but you have a gun in your hand. It's like there's, America's, painting a big red X on the ground, and they're like lifting an anvil in a crane. They're like very slowly and comically lifting an anvil with a hang crank, and they're like, okay, can you stand right on that X? And the anvil is like being raised up, and you're like, and you have a gun. Like, that's what Trump is trying to do to China. Why doesn't China just, go, okay, and shoot the fucking guy? Like, what the hell is this shit?
To make a deal with the U.S.
When I saw this video, it made me laugh so much that I feel like I have to share it with you and just comment on the podcast guys and supporting Trump has been officially the fastest backfiring thing that has ever happened. We've gone over Joe Rogan backfiring. We've got over Theo Vaughn. I think Theo Vaughn's pivot to immediately interviewing Hassan was the smartest pivot. Like, he's the guy who I feel like has maintained the I'm just curious guy the best. Even though Theo has a bunch of bad takes, I think he's managed this the best of all of the podcast bros. But the podcast bros now, like, interviewing Pete Buttigieg, like, I voted for Trump and now I'm interviewing Pete. Does this guy have zero fucking juice?
We gonna play this Schultz thing?
We should.
Okay. This is the guy Andrew Schultz, who was on there like talking about wanting to privatize Social Security at one point. I don't know. I haven't seen that much of his show, but sometimes they say some stuff that's interesting. At least some of the co-hosts did on that with that billionaire guy.
Oh yeah, Sachs or Palpatine. Chamath Palpatine.
Yes, Chamath Palpatine. That was where the comment of like the Biden people never got back to me.
Right.
All the money I gave. And I've seen follow-up on that, and it is fascinating. It actually came up with like Ezra Klein was on with him, and it's a fascinating exchange. Maybe we'll talk to Ezra about it because I found it fascinating. But nevertheless, is this on Trigonometry, that show?
Yeah. So prepare to get triggered. Everybody.
Oh my God! Here we go. This is gonna drive me crazy.
What does privatizing Social Security actually mean? Nobody knows. Nobody fucking knows. Legitimately, nobody fucking knows.
Crazy.
But what's so shocking is how shallow this analysis is. But that's kind of what.
Am I gonna get triggered by this?
Yeah.
Because if I don't want to watch.
Right now, when you pay Social Security taxes, the money that you pay to Social Security taxes goes to pay the benefits of the people that are currently retired with Social Security, right? And they previously paid money in the past, and it did the same thing. Now, in the past, more money came into Social Security than went out in benefits. So the Social Security Administration took that money and bought treasury bonds with it. Okay? So there's what's known as the Social Security Trust Fund. And the Social Security Trust Fund got a return on those investments, which they then rolled right back into the Social Security Trust Fund. But as the number of workers, the ratio between workers and retirees has gone down, meaning there are more retirees and fewer workers, the flow of the Social Security system is going from being net positive every year to net neutral or net negative, which means that the Social Security Trust Fund is now having to take sell those treasury bonds for cash to pay for the current retirees, right? And eventually the Social Security Trust Fund will be expended. There won't be any more savings. And then we'll be at a point where, okay, people were promised a Social Security benefit under the law, but they don't have enough money coming in from the taxes on Social Security to pay those benefits. So what do we do? And there's multiple different possibilities. One of the things we could do is we could raise the taxes so that more money is coming in. The primary argument is in favor of lifting the Social Security tax, because the Social Security tax is only on the first, I think it's like a first 100 and like Social Security tax ends at 100 and at this year it's $176,000 and $176,100. So all income you have above that number no longer has Social Security tax, right? Last year it was $168,000 and $168,600 in 2024. So any money you made above $168,000 was Social Security tax free. What Bernie Sanders has suggested is we just lift the cap and we tax all earnings at the same fixed rate, right? No more tax cuts for the rich. That's called lifting the cap. Why the fuck is that a thing? So rich people pay less of their income in taxes. The other thing you could do is reduce benefits, raise the retirement age. You could do things where fundamentally less money is paid out or more money comes in, right? If you make absolutely no changes, well, then the Social Security money that retirees will get will be reduced to 80% of what it is now. So a 20% cut to the Social Security benefits people are currently receiving. That'll eventually happen according to the math, right? And if you get 80% of what you're promised, that's not 100%, which means you're getting less money, which sucks. Okay. So that's the outcome under the status quo. If nothing changes, there'll be a cut of Social Security in the future as far as the benefits. But other than that, everything will run fine. And then eventually the boomers will die and the system will probably slip back into surplus. And the amount of money going to people will start to rise again automatically. It's just we have this big glut of boomer retirees who are sucking up all the money. All right. Now, if we privatize Social Security, I have no idea what that means. Primarily, that would mean if you're poor, you don't have any retirement money coming in at all, and you'll probably go bankrupt and die. If you're like middle class or upper middle class and you invest it wisely, then you could theoretically be better off. But here's the thing. You won't be, because we know how human beings actually behave. So most people will just lose this. They'll spend this money and they'll lose it, and they won't have anything in retirement, and they'll be fucked. So a lot more people will end up in poverty.
Watch it, because I can't. If I get triggered, my back's going to go out.
You're a sensitive lefty.
The sides switched so much. You know, when I was younger, like, Democrats were cool. They were getting their dick sucked in the office. They were like, right? They were like, they were like supportive of like hip hop music. They said, do whatever you want. Like, we don't want to be in your bedroom. They were cool with gay people. Like, it was cool to be a Democrat. Now,
chat, do you guys remember how I talked about this before? This is literally the thing that I say. Do you guys remember what I say that applies here? This is the Mike from PA pop quiz. What argument have I made on this issue? How have I described it? I've said that this is the downscale Democrat. AKA the Howard Stern guy, the body guy, you know, the guy on a motorcycle, the guy who goes to a strip club, like the downscale, slightly perverted, common clay. Those downscale Democrats, the blue collar, the you know, earthy, however you want to call it, you know, the vulgar. That used to be downscale. Those people used to be left leaning. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like the you know, the sexual, you know, people that go to porn shops and shit. Okay. That is the downscale Democrat. That's the Democrat that the Democratic Party has always hated, by the way. They've hated those blue collar workers. They hate those non-college educated workers. They hate body people. They hate dirt bags, right? Those people have left the Democratic Party. And Donald Trump is the ultimate, like, attractor for those type of people to become Republican. Republican used to be waspy fucking country club rich people. They were your boss. They were the preppy guy. They were the people who lived off a trust fund. Now they are those people, but the masses of them is these, you know, downscale, non-college educated, fucking scumbags that Schultz is describing. You know, I'm not saying that these people are flawless. I'm just saying that this is a certain type of guy. And now libs are the, you know, upper middle class, overeducated, undersexed soy.
Now, conservatives got 3 baby mamas. The president got 3 baby mamas. He's getting pussy left and right. Right? He's cool. He's the one saying, say whatever.
He is literally not getting pussy left and right. He is literally not. Like, Donald Trump doesn't have sexual attraction like you or I do to women. If you're a straight man, Donald Trump sees women as status objects only. Like, he sees women as status objects. That's how Donald Trump sees women. If you listen to the way he talks about women, he doesn't see them as something that's like a sexual being. He sees them as like, I like having hot women near me because other men will approve of me more. That's literally the way he talks about it. It's not like he has a yearning or a drive.
Want. So now conservatives have become Democrats. So I don't think I've changed. I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. So it's very, you want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want. I'm there.
That's what the politics is. Tell me to say whatever I want.
By the way, I have a feeling that the Majority Report is going to have a take that I don't agree with on this one. This is going to be another case of Mike doesn't agree with Sam Seder. I'm predicting that. Maybe I don't, but what Sam Seder doesn't seem to understand is that smarmy, ultra-educated people are weird, and they are not appealing to normal people. The reason why people like Bernie Sanders is because and AOC is because they don't present that way. They don't present as lecturing, holier than thou. I'm better than you. I know more than you. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to nudge you. I'm going to harangue you. They come across as people that are pissed off, fired up, and are ready to fight for you. And they care about people like you, and they want to make your life better with real shit. That's why people like them. They don't like them because they're fucking policy wonk nerds. Even though they are, they don't present that way. And so that's why regular people like them. Whereas with Sam Seder, I love you, Sam, and I vibe with you because I am a wonk too. You do, right? And where AOC is unpopular, it's where she comes across as a dissembling Warrenite liberal. When she's out there and she's fired up and when her Bernie Sanders side is firing up, AOC is going to be awesome. But AOC has 2 dogs at her. She has the DC Warrenite dog, and the more that dog barks, the more people hate her. The concern trolling, rad lib, falls for woke bullshit. Like, and I mean, when I say woke, I don't mean like actual woke. I mean the corporate version of woke, representational woke, but meaningless representation. Then she sucks and everyone hates her guts. When she's like, I can't, anti-Semitism is a problem in the left. Whatever she when she got tricked on Jeremy Corbyn, that's when she fails. When AOC is up there barking with when her black wolf or Bernie wolf is up there, when its jaws are slathered in blood and she's yelling about, Israel sucks or how much corporate Democrats sell out, that's when people like her. So the more her, gelding fucking Elizabeth Warren dog whines, the more she's gonna fail.
Comedy, baby.
It is really, I mean, it's just like I'm triggered by this.
Yeah, me too.
I really am triggered by this.
What we like to do here at Trigonometry is bring in comedians that will pander to our sensibilities and call it a joke.
It is so moronic. Now, I know, we're supposed to say the R word now that it's legal, unfortunately.
It's both legal and cool to say the R word and some gay slurs. Why not? Those are the material gains we're getting under Trump.
What I also love is that Schultz seems to have aged in reverse. He's like, what is it?
Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button. What I thought was cool when I was in junior high, I still think is exactly the same cool level of coolness.
What? Having 3 baby moms? Getting laid. He's got a 12-year-old's mindset. That's why this is part of the stuff.
Do you think that he would appreciate a woman who is president who keeps getting laid?
That's
all
what
the
I'm
time?
trying to say.
Of
Like,
course not.
of course not. Of course, like, listen to what's implicit in this. It's that Trump gets pussy, Kamala doesn't, obviously, right? Or whatever. Or like back in the day, yeah, Obama was the cool guy, and then with the culture changing, he's gone with it as well. But underneath all of it is this idea that the coolness is also tied to masculinity and how much you're sleeping around. It doesn't make any sense.
Dark Soul says, I sleep in a race car bed, a moment with Schultz.
Yeah.
But putting aside that for a moment too, understand this happens like, it feels like it happens like every 5 or 6 years where the right wing tries to convince themselves that they are now the cool anti-establishment. I mean, this happens all the time. It keeps getting recycled and recycled and recycled.
Isn't it great that the anti-establishment guy is then having Pete Buttigieg on? It's almost like he's not anti-establishment. It's all fucking fraud. I don't want to watch Pete Buttigieg shit because, like, the more Pete Buttigieg stuff, like, my hatred of Pete Buttigieg is so pure that if you like Pete Buttigieg at all, I hate you. And then people start defending him, and then I start hating everybody who defends this scumbag.
Goes into or is supposed to go into here in the U.S. is what then turns around and makes it possible for businesses to thrive.
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, my favorite example is probably the smartphone. So, have you ever noticed, like, in like talks or like whenever somebody mentions a smartphone, they like start to pull it out of their pocket or like, touch it. But so the federal government could not have invented the iPhone, right? Like, I don't think any of us would want a phone that was like invented by the federal government.
That thing would suck.
That is like all of the design, the manufacturing, supply chains. That's the kind of thing that corporations can do very well. Yeah. And Apple did it very well, and their competitors. But what makes the iPhone work? Well, among other things, the internet. The internet was
the iPhone is made up of overwhelmingly government sponsored research. Like, almost every element of the iPhone is government research. It, you know, the collection of the things. The iPhone itself was corporate, but a corporation doesn't have to be owned by private enterprise alone. Like, you can have, that's the thing about this is you like nothing. He's just doing mysticism. This is market mysticism for the religion of capital. This is just not even arguments. This is just baby shit.
Literally invented by a federal research project. And it would never have been possible to invent the internet with a private company because you wouldn't have got the kind of capital return, even though it's $1 trillion idea or a multi-trillion-dollar idea. You know, companies can do multi-billion-dollar ideas, but $1 trillion idea, like inventing the internet, that requires basic research. And that's the kind of thing the government's supposed to do, among many other things.
It requires basic research? What does that mean?
Yeah, by basic research, I mean things that are so fundamental that you actually don't know for 50 or 100 years if they're going to have a return. They might never work out.
Oh, right? Yeah. You can't look at it as this thing is going to be profitable. It has to be
so it's different
benevolent
from
endeavor for society.
Yeah, it's different from research on like a pharmaceutical company researches a new medication, expecting that they're going to
there's going to have a return in the next 10.
That's not actually how it works, though. That's what's so funny. He's using examples that are not true. Pharmaceutical companies typically don't do research for drugs. What they do is they public universities using public money take grants, and professors do the research on a whole bunch of different compounds. And when they think a compound or formulation has therapeutic potential, then it gets spun off to a private company. So we socialize the research and privatize the gains. That's how it actually works. Pharmaceutical companies suck off from, they get the patent that you and I paid for.
Right, at least kind of within the kind of profit, right?
Yeah. But public parks is another version of this and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you can't privatize the public park.
Right, this is the whole idea of public goods, right? This is why we have governments, why we collect taxes.
God, we're turning into such libs already, dude.
But there's a handshake, right? There are the things that only the government can do, and then there are the things that the private sector can and should do, and they meet in the middle. And
then there are things that the government can do, and the private sector is trying, but doing really shittily at. And those are the things we should move over to the public sector. Like, I'll give you an example. Housing, right? It's not that there is no housing in America built by private industry. It's just that the incentives for private action do not provide housing sufficient to the needs of the population. And they do it in a highly inefficient way because they're seeking to maximize profit in the real estate industry. This is very important to understand. This is another important point that I don't think people understand, is that if you leave real estate to private enterprise, then the private capital of the real estate industry tries to maximize profit in the real estate industry. It's not trying to maximize profit society-wide, right? So imagine, here's an example. Let's imagine if we had socialized housing or social housing, and it made everybody, it gave everybody high quality housing that they could afford in exactly the place is most economically optimal for them to live. And that caused an economic gain for the country of $1 trillion. And that's public housing and social housing world. Or we have world two, the world we live in, where we make $100 billion in profit in the real estate industry, but people are not living where they should be. And it causes all sorts of deadweight loss. It causes all sorts of negative externalities. You have all sorts of sprawl, which causes more problems. You have more consumption because people need to be on the roads because they're not living densely enough, right? So we have more traffic, which means we have more pollution, which we have more energy lost in infrastructure, more energy lost in transport. We have more people wasting time in congestion and transit. We have a lot of bad outcomes that are now caused because we were maximizing profit for real estate, as opposed to recognizing that real estate profits lead to all sorts of other negative externalities. And the other way, social housing creates all sorts of positive externalities that will redound to way more profit in society at large. So by privatizing that thing, you've actually made society far worse off. And this is what people like Pete Buttigieg do not acknowledge because they only have baby tier level conversations with idiots. And like, this is why I hate him, because this is baby shit. This is baby child shit. And it's not based on anything. These are all just, this is just a conversation between dullards. And Pete isn't a dullard. So why is he doing this? And this is where the hate comes from. Pete is doing this to manipulate people for the benefit of the capitalist class, for the benefit of the connected capitalists, so he could be their little servant, so he can move up. That's why he's so hateable.
If you start shorting, and part of what really worries me right now about this kind of war on academia, and there's some things about academia that need to change, but the war on academia, the cuts to cancer research, the cuts to science research, this kind of like general anti-science like atmosphere that I think is emanating from the administration, like that costs us in ways that don't show up on, you know, a corporate profit and loss statement 6 months from now or a year from now. But in terms of whether a country, a society, an economy is productive and is growing and is innovating, that starts to really cost you over time. And if we're shorting that, or if corporations and extremely wealthy people don't want to be paying into that through taxes, that is, I think, a classic example of a kind of short-term gain that causes long-term pain.
You know, one of the things that I would like to hear from Pete, and this is like a thing that's kind of wild to me, is why is China succeeding? I would like Pete Buttigieg to explain to me why China is becoming the world superpower. Like, go ahead and explain it. I want you to lay it out. Like, analyze China and tell me, why is state-owned enterprise working so well? Why is China growing at 6% per year over year over year over year? Why is China raising the standard of living of their people? Why are they growing exponentially? Like, oh, please explain it. Explain why Shenzhen was a 300,000 population town. Like, go ahead. I want you to explain it and be concrete. Not like they embraced free enterprise. No, they didn't. So all the things you say we need to embrace, they don't do. They do the opposite of what you say to do, and yet they are improving the fastest of any place on earth. So how do you figure that?
Sure, this is why we have governments, why we collect taxes.
God, we're turning into such libs already, dude.
But there's a handshake, right? There are the things that only
like this is just Obama reheated. This is Obama reheated, but dumber and less charismatic. And like a lot of people want that. Like a lot of people just want that. But I got to tell you something, chat. If we try to elect Pete Buttigieg, that'll be the truly last election. That'll truly be the last election that we ever had, because the fascist government that will win will be so extreme. Not dumber. He is a Rhodes. It's not Rhodes scholar. It's a Rhodes scholar. He is very educated, but he knows better. He's manufacturing consent. Of course. No. Of course. He knows better. But what he's saying is dumb blabble. I can't believe people listen to this guy and like him. I'm shocked people like that guy. Like, it's fucking crazy to me. Like, this is where I feel the most disconnected from my fellow humanity. Like, the fact that people look at Pete Buttigieg and they're like, yeah, oh, wow, oh, yeah. That's the thing that makes me go like actually stresses. Actual stress.
20 years ago, I'm politically incorrect. And
his fascist government, he wouldn't win. You think America is going to vote for a 5'7" nerd who looks like he looks like Lieutenant Commander Data if there was no emotion chip? Season 1 Lieutenant Commander Data? You're crazy. And by the way, I think Americans, I love Lieutenant Commander Data, but Lieutenant Commander Data was fully, he was fully equipped. As we learned in The Naked Now, Lieutenant Commander Data, he fucked, okay? Lieutenant Commander Data was trained in a lot of different techniques. So he's no Lieutenant Commander Data, all right? He was,
And now it's like, I'm politically incorrect. It's just that we have a different word for it. I can say the R word or whatever.
He was Lieutenant Data in season 1. Lieutenant Commander, I think he got promoted later. Or was he Lieutenant Commander Data in every season? Or was he Lieutenant Data and became Lieutenant Commander Data? He was Lieutenant Commander from the start. Are you sure? I think everyone gets promoted except Picard and Riker.
I don't care. I mean,
6 years with no promotion. That's a dead career.
I mean, the Andrew Dice Clay existed. This is all like just rehashed. This is like literally what the reactionary mind does. They repackage the old and existing hierarchies as being counterculture.
Right.
And this is like, Nick Gillespie did it when he was the free market Fonzie, and he sort of aged out of that. And now there's like a whole new generation. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again. And if your politics are shaped by, I know he's sort of half joking, but he's really more like 3/4. No, he's more like 1/8 joking.
It's funny because it's true sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just I know it's the dumbest way to talk about politics, and maybe he's just trying to avoid what his politics are. But I believe that he may have been a Democrat for those reasons, because he still seems to have the depth of thought that he had then, and sometimes you get stuck in that.
Yeah, he's a Democrat because he's a child of affluence from New York City and didn't want to be a Republican because I was probably pissing into the wind a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but this whole campaign was them saying Trump opened with saying that Kamala Harris is only in this position because she's had sex with the right people. So you can't sleep your way to the top if you're a woman. But he's also referring to Clinton when he's talking about getting your dick sucked in the White House, not Obama, because you think Obama would have been able to get away with having 3 baby mamas, as he refers to it there? I mean, come on. The racism and the misogyny that's underlying all of this is just so obvious, but they feel emboldened now.
Every one of these guys.
If you were trying to formulate like the absolute least appealing response to what happened, I think it would be what Emma just said, with all due respect to the chatters who liked it. I just think it is terrible rhetoric, because you're just like, okay, you're right that I don't think Obama would have. I think she's fundamentally right that Obama would not have been able to have 3 baby mamas, right? I agree with that. I think that he wouldn't have been able to do that. But I also don't think that a white man with 3 baby mamas would be a nominee of the Democratic Party anyway. That's kind of the point. You're unintentionally proving the point. The Democratic Party is the party of the upscale, upper middle class, buttoned up, like meritocratic. He was there because he was on the Harvard Law Review. He was there because he graduated from Columbia. He was there because of his intelligence and his eloquence and his being, as Joe Biden said, that he was, whatever Joe Biden said, there's super racist shit Joe Biden said. So there's a lot of racism in Joe Biden, who was his vice president. That's the thing. I think you're missing the point. I think the point that Schultz is making, that I agree with, is that the Republican Party is now the party of the downscale, tawdry, And like there is an element of the Democratic Party's class has been realigned with upper class, highly educated white people like yourself, right? Like, I don't think having 3 baby mamas means that you shouldn't be the president. I don't personally think that that should be a disqualifier. I don't. Does that make me a fucking idiot? I don't know. I would vote for a black person who had 3 baby mamas. I don't think that should disqualify you from being president in and of itself. Like, am I crazy? Like, I think it's wrong to think otherwise. And, you know, the other thing is, like, Kamala Harris, you know, I don't know the truth or validity of what was said about Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris didn't get to the top because she was a good politician, right? She got to the top by what amounts to luck. What amounts to they were abusing representational politics, and then she was like, I think Kamala Harris may be one of the worst politicians I've ever seen, and the fact that she became the Democratic nominee via fiat is an incredibly damning indictment of our entire political system. And I think we should forget she ever existed if we could, or just ceaselessly condemn her for all time. Like, she is like, having any sympathy for Kamala Harris now at 2025, I think is fatally wrong for your judgment.
Guys, in the sort of like content, Rogan adjacent content thing,
I think having 3 failed marriages is a sign of some character flaw that I would disagree with. I mean, I don't think that it should be disqualifying at all. Just because someone is tempestuous in their personal life a little bit, or they made a bad, like, I can easily see how someone gets into 3 marriages who's normal. You know, you get married young when naive. You know, you start early. You realize as you grow apart, you grow older, that this is the, you know, you were a child when you made that decision. You get a divorce, and then, you know, in a year or 2 you get remarried, and then you're with that partner for a better part of a decade, and then you realize that again that you've grown apart. Your careers are separate. You have different values. Like, I don't think that means you're a bad person. Right? Like, I just think that's silly, in my opinion. And I think she's right, but I also think that it's, you know, it's a sneering point. And I don't, you know, it is what it is. Make fun of Trump all you want. Who gives a shit? I don't think they're really engaging.
Like 3 days of content on that porn star who had sex with 100 men in a day, being like, how horrible is this? How depraved. And now it's all how great Trump is because he's had sex with multiple women. And I mean,
sometimes not consensual.
Yeah.
Sometimes, according to what the courts have said, he's been
totally. Trump is a rapist.
Found liable for sexual assault in some of those instances, which is so damn cool.
Also, the free speech thing that is harder to sell now that people can get roughed up by immigration enforcement for saying something bad about Israel.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when was the
We can say the R word, it's just you can't say the P word.
Yes. When was the last time conservatism was cool? What, you want to say like Reagan era when everyone was snorting coke? Like, most of the time, progressive thought is cool.
Honestly,
because they're at the cutting edge of culture.
They go through this all the time. I mean, they go through this all the time. Even over the course of the past 20 years, this is like the 3rd iteration of this, where it's cool to be a conservative now. I mean,
you got a shelf life, because we see Donald Trump's approval rating dropping like a stone because none of this stuff.
Which is what I knew would happen. Which is exactly what I told Sam Cedar would happen. I was like, the reason why I like, if we go back over the debate I had with Sam Cedar after, you know, when he was like, oh, you should have told people to vote for Kamala. I was like, well, I'm thinking about a little bit longer term. I mean, if I have no influence on her administration at all, it's so much as she won't even denounce the genocide, then I'd rather sabotage her fucking project. Period.
Most people are going to be on board with. This is a minoritarian party that's flexing right now because they got back into power. But good luck with that, Andrew Schultz. Good luck with like hinging your politics on what's cool in any given moment.
Listen, everybody's trying to get on the right stuff now. It's like a waiting list. They got on that app early. Oh boy.
I didn't even know what the right stuff was until you gave me more context.
Right.
Exactly. Dave from upstate, but have you looked at how Trump's sex life and slurs have made our economy better? The Millrind, 1987, Gordon Gekko, Wall Street. That's when being a conservative is cool. But conservatives thought, like, Stephen Colbert, when he was doing the Colbert Report, they thought that he was on their side.
They don't have media literacy.
No, like it's just it's
never been cool.
Constant. This is like even like embedded in Breitbart too. The constant like sort of understanding that their worldview is anachronistic.
Yeah.
And the self-consciousness and the desire for it to be cool. And the reason why they insulate themselves in this manner. I mean, the reason why, like, the Daily Wire guys sit around a circle once a week smoking cigars in fake, in a fake, like, study is because it's the only way they can feel cool.
Yeah.
Is to surround themselves. They do the same thing down at the mothership. It is a closed loop. I know a lot of people, sort of like somewhat adjacent to that world, aware of that world. It is a closed loop where they sit around and tell each other that they're cool.
And it's all men to a degree as well, because like they also want it to be this insular discussion about about masculinity.
Dude,
without
just
involving
girls
femininity.
Are cool.
Right. But
it's not, we don't keep you out because you're a girl. But we just happens that girls aren't cool.
Yes, obviously that's just how it works that way. But like this is an unfortunate thing that this whole podcast ecosystem is doing, and it's resulting in what we're seeing of this extremely like misogynistic backlash. Is they are redefining these very negative qualities that are associated with patriarchy as masculinity. We need to more positively define what masculinity.
I could not agree more with Emma. This is a really good take. I couldn't agree more with Emma. She's right. They're redefining things that are bad as masculinity. Ironically, conservative politics right now is actually about radically redefining masculinity away from what it really traditionally has meant in favor of like vices. In favor, like, she's totally right. Like, this is a really good point.
Masculinity means, because these guys are
like Emma, by the way, chat. I disagree with Emma on a lot. I think Emma and I's politics are quite different. I do like Emma. There's always people on the Majority Report that I heavily disagree with. It's always been that way. There's people that I side with and people that I disagree with. That's what I like about the Majority Report. It's good to have a spectrum. Like Majority Report has always had kind of a more right-wing centrist Democrat on the show. Like, it's always been that way. And so it's good to have a good representative of that on the show, on the stream. For me personally, I'm more of a Matt Leck, Michael Brooks, Jamie Peck person than I am, but that's just me. But I like that about Majority Report. I think it's good to have diversity on there. I think it makes the show more interesting.
Oh, it's cool that the way Donald Trump has treated women as sex objects at best, and in other instances as victims at worst. That's like the way that we should be looking towards a man, or like the way that Bill Clinton behaved, where the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal, he threw that young woman under the bus after exploiting her, and Hillary Clinton was complicit in it.
Yep,
and he's saying these two things are cool examples of coolness. Yeah. Like, that is what is scary about this, I think, and some of this moment where it's like, no, those were exploitative, deeply disturbing moments, whether it's Donald Trump and how he's treated women, or whether how Bill Clinton did it. No coincidence, by the way, both buddies with Epstein.
That was the one based thing Matt Iglesias said briefly before he changed, wipe the Etch-a-Sketch on his opinions, was that Bill Clinton should have resigned for philandering in the office.
Dan from Columbus reminds us that in 2017, Paul Joseph Watson from InfoWars declared conservatism the new punk rock. That happens every 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't around in the 80s. I can't imagine conservatism was cool in the 80s.
Oh, it was cool, man. Did you see Alex B. Keaton? He was the guy everybody wanted to be. On Family Ties.
Republicans were cool in the 1860s. And then for a little bit of time.
They were cool.
But that wasn't conservative.
Greed is good.
Yeah, it's just never happened, guys.
Even that, they don't have the media literacy to know that Gordon Gekko is supposed to be a satirical character. These are still these.
Vio gave me coffee. I told Chad about my liquid caffeine and they said it was unhinged. Vio is saying that it's unhinged to get liquid caffeine before you guys. And I was like, why? It's totally normal. What do you mean? You just put a little caffeine in your drink. And she's like, no, it's unhinged. And I was like, why? Thank you, VO. She made me an iced coffee. That's good. Looks good. She's like, no, don't get that. It's unhinged. And I was like, why is it unhinged? Why is it unhinged? I don't get why it's unhinged. It's like all the drinks you get with caffeine in them have caffeine added. Do you think Dr. Pepper has caffeine in it? Like naturally? They added in that shit.
These are the guys that love Wolf of Wall Street.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and also, they don't get or American Psycho.
Mike, stop trying. Why?
Pretty great
podcast. Gave me head pats, bro. I think I was the camera was like not as like it was lower, so you didn't see it. She gave me.
That's by Matt Bernstein. A shout out to that show. Did a great episode about that guy. You know the Ashton, what's his name, that went viral with the Saratoga water and okay, whatever. But it's just like how there's this new brand of masculinity on like the influencer space where it's like about, you know, perfecting your image in this almost Patrick Bateman way, which in the past was considered a sign of sociopathy. But now it's like this manicured thing with faceless women serving you.
Oh my God, Emma with another good point. That was that guy earlier. Remember that guy I banned because he was like, I like how Pete Buttigieg is a psychopath. I like how he stepped it over the corpses of queer activists so that he could personally advantage himself. I love how he wasn't in the fight at all and then take advantage of the, you know, the virtue signaling resume points when he could. Remember that fucking guy? She's talking about that guy. She's right. Emma with bangers today. I disagreed with the baby mama thing. But in a different way than she probably understood. I'm sure if I talked to her and I was like, Emma, I think it would have been okay to vote for a Democrat with 3 baby mamas. Like
food and drinks and stuff, but it's a little half-baked.
I'm younger than Andrew Schultz, and I remember the Democrats being not friends of like the music I liked. I remember Eminem having lots of lines about Tipper Gore. Like,
Tipper Gore and Joe Lieberman were leading the charge on getting parental advisory stickers. Also, I mean, that's why Lieberman was put on the on the ticket, is because he was supposed to be like the representative from the moral majority, essentially, to inoculate Al Gore from Bill Clinton's, you know, it wasn't the exploitation of that woman. It was just like the sexual luridness.
Yes. I just have to correct myself. Ashton Genty is the running back from Boise State. It's Ashton Hall. That's the guy.
That's good. Also, MC Rove was on the Republican side of things, so they were pro-rap back then.
How am I the only one that's seen the Saratoga ice bath video?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
She's more in touch with masculine shit than they are. Legitimately. Like, I think Emma's the most masculine person on that show, if I'm being honest. And I don't mean that as an insult at all. I just think she I think she's the most masculine person on that show. Like, oh, she's talking about oh my God. What? She's talking about this. Everybody saw this. He's talking about this. Literally everyone
Ice water
saw
face
this.
dunks and possibly the most hydrated workout in human history just powered an unlikely break.
Saratoga, it was this guy.
Then at 5:49 a.m., he dunks his face in an ice cold bowl of.
Like, this is what everybody saw this. This is what she was referring to. That's what she was talking about. They are so fucking, like, everybody saw that. They're so dumb. I mean that with love. Emma, okay, I want to say this. This was an Emma banger. I disagreed with her about the baby mama thing just because of the class analysis, but you're right. What the are they okay? How did they miss this?
Someone help me out.
TikTok.
That's the guy.
That's good. Also, MC Rove was on the Republican side of things, so they were pro-rap back then.
How am I the only one that's seen the Saratoga ice bath video?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Emma is right. Like, what? What?
Someone help me out.
TikTok.
It's like the biggest viral video of last month. Whatever, but
maybe on Emma's algorithm.
I guess.
Hey, folks! Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
And that leaves us to like a final point that I wanted to make, which is like, we're not going to win people over just by being the purest and the truest. We also have to be fun. And I think that's the one thing that the Republicans have figured out, they've leaned into a really shitty version of sadistic fun of triggering the libs. And I feel like if you want to be, it's not just about being the purest of the truest. You've also got to have some fun. It's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I recognize the value. You have to be fun. You have to be having fun. You have to be a happy warrior. You have to have a smile on your face. Sometimes that smile is kind. Sometimes that smile is a little smug. You have to give people a little bit of fun. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'm done. Emma, what a banger from Emma. I completely turned around my takes on Emma in that video. Emma was the winner of that video by far. And that was a good Majority Report video in general. I like Majority Report. I still do. Invite the furries in then, party and rave 24/7. Oh, no. What book would I recommend for learning about Stalin? That's a tough one. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Solidarity forever, my friends. And say hi to VO for me. Peace and love. And say hi to VO for me. Peace and love. Free Palestine. Thanks for all the support. I'll see you tomorrow. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to watch Andor tonight, Stoney. I'll see you soon.